Me, myself, and I still pushing forward, I'm ahead like die. Standing on my flow with my head to the sky. Pass on a bitch, young rip, drop dimes. It's been a rough road, gotta look for the signs. I'm married to this music, so I cook for my bride. Flip out like a skateboarder, look how I grind. It took a long time, but I'm right on time. I'm progressing, that's progressive, I got bars like a correction. Still chasing petty cash, that's a mantis. I want extra, I stop searching for my pops. I hold my nuts just like a checkup. I get physical, I'm copping just like Interpol. I play on words like a syllable. To me the world is fading. Hold this L just like a Laker. Like a birthday, my shit caking. It get messy like an apron. I pick out just like some bacon, and I sizzle like it too. Can't forget about you, boo. It feel like we on a loop. Same shit, different day. I don't know what's really true. I get high as I leave hoops. Who gon' give me what I'm owed? Man, I guess nobody knew. And I know that money talks, so what it said is probably true. It's the feeling that I get and the shit I'll probably do to get through or get by. I get fly, cause I'm Jeff Goldblum in my mind. Tell them hoes to fall in line. If you thought I fell off, bitch, I'm back like my spine. Hot as homemade pie. That's the pro rate, ma. I'm a pro, ain't I? Sniff it out like K9s. I'm a thief, it take time to be great on Bayside. I get blue like Kelly Parker. When I'm gone, I left a mark. Tell them fish I'm still a shark. I will embark on this journey till it's finished. In the midst of all this friction, I got vision on my P's like no limit. Like a mouse, now we clicking. I go out for the spinach, that's business.
Cut the cord that kept us connected. Blacking out the mirror where your light once reflected. All of the love from up above. We used to fit like a glove. I still think about the you that only exists in my brain. Nothing ever stays the same. Guess it's just a shame. There's no one to blame.
Stop looking for somebody else to lay the blame. Without a wave of change, life stays the same. So when I pull up to your spot, I'm with a paradigm chick. Only used to have one and it's my paradigm ship. Calls for celebration, I cracked the hen. I took a hiatus, but I'm back again. A bunch of blue face hundreds, I've been stacking them. Cause in the game of life, I just have to win. So when I'm in go mode, I be ballin' insane. Tried to walk away, they was calling my name. My brothers from another, we are all in the game. Don't give a fuck about clout nor all of the fame. I'm trying to inspire, empower, build and progress at a steady rate. Move heavyweight like a Bowflex. The haters make me greater, they mad, I got them so stressed. Shock my style for a while now, I can show text. Screenshots as proof and receipts. You a certified clown, been a goof in the streets. Angel made the beat, but this my demon flow. Get a lot of love from people I don't even know. And when the situation's ugly like Dudley, we do right. Fuck propaganda, let's conquer and unite. The wait's over, take over, it's commencing. My money fully grown, yours like an infant. But that ain't no shade to you, it's just provision and protection, what you made to do. Being a man with a purpose, who you supposed to be. Living life as a loser, that's a joke to me. FN 509, stay close to me. If I pull it, I'ma spray like some potpourri. I don't wanna have to go there, so hopefully you don't try to have no beef or no smoke with me. Bro, everything I'm talking about, be backing it up. I'm back in the cuts, rapping the Dutch and macking a hut. She start to get aroused when I'm smacking her butt. Baby got stupid cheeks and she be clapping it up. I'ma enter through the front and hit the back of her guts. She a classy lady but be acting a slut. When we be kissing and cuddling, my bitch like to hug. Her box customized so it fit like a glove.
Ayo, who is that dude? Oh girl, that's just B-Eazy. Oh boy, that's just B-Eazy. Well, who is B-Eazy? Oh, you ain't know he been a pro, for show, all about the dough. He been running up them racks and still trying to get some more. He really one of them ones, his presence so pivotal. So hell yeah, he that dude, this is unequivocal. Ay.
Yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream, you been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Person's progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. Be-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, one and only, one and only. Be-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
He always do it big, you know who it is. Be-Eazy, Be-Eazy, Be-Eazy that dude. He on his way to the top and he ain't about to stop. You thought he would flop and didn't wanna give him props. The things you dreaming about he already did, dude. Now it's time to soak a game he about to give you. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to tune in when he goes live. Make a contribution if you feeling the content. Tap into the realness if you tired of the nonsense. I mean, no disrespect, ain't trying to sound rude, but the world already knows that Be-Eazy's that dude. Ooh. Hey yo, who is that dude? Oh girl, that's just Be-Eazy. Oh boy, that's just Be-Eazy. Well, who is Be-Eazy? Oh, you ain't know, he been a pro for show, all about the dough. He been running up them racks and still trying to get some more. Don't care about the fame, just trying to gain and grow. He really one of them ones, his presence so pivotal. So hell yeah, he that dude, this is unequivocal.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. Be-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Controversial topic, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても実際世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶっとこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got find me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep, I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking, I don't give a fuck about no. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really in me. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of better. And we are activated. Want to salute to the illustrious guests that we already had coming into the building. We got FBA Strong coming in strong. Salute B-Eazy. This will be a good one. It absolutely will. And we also got the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Law, in the building. So take her advice or her recommendation, suggestion, whatever you want to call it. Like, share, subscribe. This one will be a good one. So go ahead. Let me go ahead and pull these banners down here and we can get right into it. So let me pull this video up. You know, I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So this video that I'm going to come in out the gate and react with. Actually, before I get into that, let me give a preface to this discussion, right? Just in case y'all don't know, there has been a boycott going on of Target. Some people, some activists in the Black community have organized a Target boycott. There does seem to be, I suspect there is some sort of political backing, some sort of NGO establishment backing. I don't think that it's totally grassroots. I do believe some grassroots people are involved, but I don't think that this protest is organic. I don't believe that it's even useful, right? There are useful protests and useful boycotts, which I will get into. I just don't think that boycotting Target is a useful one. And if you are going to do it, then what fruit has it bared? So we're going to get into that. But the main focus of the protest and the boycott of Target is because Target, amongst many other companies, ended their DEI practices. So we're going to get into the DEI, and this is why I do believe that this is more of a bit establishment, specifically Democrat shillery when it comes to this. So let me get ready to pull this up real quick right here, because you don't have to take my word for it. Let me get into this right here. Who benefits most from DEI? Now, there's more of this story. This is from Forbes. So if you want to watch this, this is by if you want to read this is on Forbes. Dr. Michelle Penelope King is the contributor, and this is on Forbes site. I just want to highlight this right here. Let me see. Could y'all see that? Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for y'all. Right? Because they always want Black people, Black women specifically, that they many times, some of them volunteer to be crash out dummies for this political cause, even though they benefit the least. Other people get biscuits. You get half of a butter biscuit crumb, right? And you're supposed to be happy with that. And then they'll put you at the face to fight for that half of a butter biscuit crumb, right? So as you can see on here, additionally, Black women, and here comes the whole gender thing, right? Rather than focus on Black people,
entirely been discriminated against. It says, yeah, black people, but what about the women? So it lends a bit of toxic feminism in there, right? Y'all can read the full article, but it says black women who are often numerically underrepresented in professional occupations regularly grapple with how to counteract negative racial stereotypes that undermine their professional images in office. In response, they often have to strategically engage in code switching by adjusting their speech, appearance, and behaviors to fit in. This isn't exclusive to black women, though, right? Same thing with a black man. If he doesn't have a certain level of skincare, he has some like razor bumps. If he has long hair, or have locks like me, even if he has braids. So it's not just black women. But you can see that this was written by kind of a woman who's sprinkling in the gender divide and the toxic feminism. But it is what it is. But here is the doozy. While many white women have made gains in American workplaces, the gains for racial and ethnic minorities, you see how they pivot? They're talking about black women this, black women that, black. And then when it times to talk about here, let's say who's really been harmed. Well, everyone has been harmed. Why aren't you talking about everyone? Why aren't they talking about the challenges that Asian people face? But then they'll turn around and say that Asian people are ethnic minorities. So when we pass something and we give any sort of benefits, any sort of preferential treatment for redress for the harms, well, we're going to help Asians and immigrants and all sorts of ethnic minorities. But you said most of the underrepresentation, most of the discrimination, most of the prejudice, most of the stereotypical tropes were against black women and black people. And this is what they always do. Oh my God, look at what's happening to the blacks. It's so heartbreaking what's happening to the blacks. And since the blacks are so downtrodden and distraught, the way we'll help the blacks is by bringing thousands of immigrants into their neighborhood. Surely that will help them out, right? So according to the McKinsey study, so you don't have to take my word for it. This is on Forbes, and you can take the McKinsey, right? They have a lot of Rhodes scholars over there, right? So if you want to take the information from the high IQs, this is who's presenting it to you. So the high IQs are telling you that DEI doesn't benefit you, right? It mainly benefits white women, but are white women the face of DEI? And you have to wonder why that is, right? All of these progressives, right? Which is why I call them the lefty and liberal lunatics. They're no different than the MAGA morons. Why aren't they calling this stuff out? That's woke. That's anti-white. It's considered anti-white to factually say that they benefited the most from DEI. Right? So white women hold nearly 19% of all C-suite positions. Guess who holds the majority of them? White men. So white men hold the majority of these positions, and white women said, we're victims. We're just like the blacks who were getting lynched. We're just like the blacks who were getting dog sicked on them. We're just like the blacks who were called nigger. And now, oh, well, you guys are minorities. How are white women ethnic minorities again? Yeah, but racial and ethnic minority women only hold 4% of these positions. So you see how they combine racial and ethnic minorities. Who the hell are they talking about? And then when you get into the numbers and you see foundational black Americans, it's 1% or less. So they'll specifically talk about black, but they immediately pivot to ethnic minority, marginalized groups, people of color, and all sorts of buzzwords and bumper stickers that dilute and also practically erase the claims and the aggrievement of black people. They still use the aggrievement, but it's to, give tangibles to other people, right? Look at what ethnic minorities have went through. And then you like, okay, it was a black person shot. It was a black person lynched, a black person mass incarcerated. They denied this black person alone. And the way to help it is to help some ethnic minority who just crossed the border, barely speaks English, but was fleeing gang violence. But hey, we helped the ethnic minority, right? So that's what DEI is all about, right? I say it all the time. DEI mainly benefits white people. Who's the main person railing against DEI? White people. So white people created DEI. They're in charge of DEI, and they're the main ones crying about DEI when it benefits them the most. They were the main ones crying about affirmative action when it benefits them the most. It mainly benefits white women. Most white women are married to white men, which means it benefits the white nuclear family. But yet, no, the niggers are the face of DEI, so we have to tear DEI down. Okay, even though it benefits your family the most. Okay, all right. So that's a preface to the discussion. Now let me get into this video by the Street Media TV, and I'm gonna react to it because DEI, and I'll revisit some more of the DEI talk, but I just wanted y'all to see that we really don't benefit from it like that. And then when they do help a black person, they make sure that, hey, this person is like hold on. And then when they do help a black person, they make sure that this person is a immigrant many times, unfortunately, right? And they say, hey, they're black just like you. No, that person just got here. Nothing against immigrants or anything, but don't say that this program was for the native population and this specific lineage of people that went through decades and centuries of atrocities, and someone that just even either crosses the border or flies in and say, hey, yeah, we don't owe you anything, but we'll give you what was owed to the people that we didn't pay. But you're not supposed to say anything about it, right? Even though the country was built on the back of your ancestors, right? And now they say, well, immigrants built it. No, immigrants came to something that was already built and they contributed after it was already built. So thank you for the contributions, but contribution is not creation. Let's get into it, because there were a lot of sister girls that were mad at Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal tap dancing raccoon Bryant, who is acting like the spokesperson of black people, saying, yeah, we ended the boycott. Who is we?
With Jamal Bryant is that he centers himself in everything. I thought Jamal Bryant started the Target boycott. I thought he did it with Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory. It was that the women came together, they brought him on to bring the church and, to make it more widespread and national and to have a bigger movement. He does this video where he claims that Target has met their 3 out of the 4 demands, and he declares it over. How do you declare something over? You make yourself the face of it. You declare it over, and you didn't start it. And the headlines are extremely confusing. You have people asking the very question that you started this off with. Are we boycotting it? Are we not? You have Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory saying, no, they have not met the demand, and they're still boycotting it, while Jamal Bryant, standing in front of a Target sign, is telling you it's over. You didn't start it. It started in Minneapolis.
Man, this situation is real goofy, man. Now, this is the thing. I don't feel bad for, I'm going to keep it always 100. I don't feel bad for a lot of these black women, these Democratic black women over here complaining about Jamal Harris and Bryant. I mean, what more do he have to do? Now, he's done created a bunch of single moms. He done made a mockery of the pulpit and of the word, and y'all still followed him. But now, because he done went up on his soapbox and declared the Target boycott over, now y'all want to cancel him. But what about all the other stuff that he was doing, man? So we know that Target, after George Floyd was unalive, they pledged to, they donated like $2 million at that time because it happened right near the Target headquarters in Minnesota, and they donated like $2 million. But they had planned to pledge upwards of like $2 billion, advancing racial equality, including commitments to Black-owned businesses and communities. But in 2025, Target announced it ended several high-profile DEI programs and investments, right? And that led to a lot of black leaders across the country boycotting them because they reneged on the things that they said that they would do. Because once Trump got back in office and they started getting rid of DEI, black clergy and community members felt that reversal was betrayal.
But how could the reversal be betrayal? And my bad if my audio was a little bit off or muffled. I tried to adjust my mic, but y'all let me know if y'all can hear me clearly in the chat. But yeah, you got these women crashing out for DEI and it really doesn't benefit you like that. So let me just fast forward part of this video and you can watch this video uninterrupted on Street Media TV. And it's titled Jamal Bryant Calls Off Target Boycott. Co-founder Nakima Armstrong and Black Women Respond. And I would play some of the heated back and forth with Nakima and Roland Martin, but I heard Roland Martin at times could copyright strike people. So I don't want to use his content because I haven't, made it transformative. I know with these other people's content, I can pause it and give commentary. So I'm going to fast forward to this breakdown in the video by The Real Dana's channel, and then I'm going to transition into another video. We'll continue this topic. Just give me 1 second.
This season, you've got...
Let me just let this advertisement go by. And then, hold on, let me rewind it back here.
Dana show, because she came and she gave some real informative information, and she broke down the things that Target gave and to the black community during this time and before the protests, right? And how they actually been selling the community out. But the Real Dana really broke this down. Check this out.
Man number one, reinstate DEI. Well, that's not going to happen because you have a new federal administration, a Trump administration, and they got rid of all DEI, and Fortune 500 companies rely on federal funding, and they're not about to mess up those billions of dollars that they get. So demand number one, reinstate DEI. Not going to happen. Target did not reinstate DEI, but they launched something called Belonging Program. That's a rebrand. That's a name.
And this whole reinstate DEI, why are you fixated on them reinstating something that you benefit the least from? You get literally half of a crumb, and the people who get the most from it, they're not fighting for it, right? White women benefit the most, but yet white women are not the mascot. However, they'll fund black women to go out there and crash out. Yes, go crash out for us, sister girl. Just be like the help, right? Go crash out so they can get a whole entree and you can get half a crumb of a butter biscuit, right? And then all this stuff they already have saying, okay, they can say we'll end DEI, and like they're trying to do, they'll create another program that is designed to deliver the same results or the same solutions under a different name. Same thing how they do right now with the DOD, right? The Department of Defense. People know it as the DOD, Department of Defense. People still say DOD. But recently, Trump called it the Department of War. It's still doing the same thing that the Department of Defense was doing, but now it's called something else, right? So if Target or any of these other corporations, if they really believed in DEI, they can still do it and just call it something else. You don't have to make a grand announcement about it. The only reason why they do that is for publicity stunts, because if they really want to hire more minorities and ethnic minorities, right, nothing is stopping them. There's no gun to the executives' ahead saying don't hire these ethnic minorities, since that's the word they want to use, right? So why should they have to be pressured and boycotted into doing the right thing, right? I thought this was a Christian nation, or let me get it exact. I thought this was a white Christian nation. Wouldn't that be the morally righteous thing to do, to, regardless of skin color, race, or creed, that everyone had inclusion into society in certain sectors of society. But we know that that's not the truth, which is why DEI is a thing at all, because in the history of this country, there has been systemic efforts to ensure that people don't, become CEOs, don't become educated, et cetera, right? So people say, well, no, it's not like that anymore. And then you look at the numbers and it's still like that. And then they try to point to one token. Well, look at LeBron James, look at Michael Jordan, or look at Tyler Perry. They say, look at a puppet who we've propped up. Here, look at my puppet. I propped up this puppet, right? Like, see, anyone could do it. Anyone could be a puppet. And a puppet always has, someone's hand up there, what, right? So who's in control? You or the person with their hand up your rectum?
Change. DEI is still gone because the Belonging program, that includes everybody, not just Black people, right? Demand number 2, account.
DEI includes everybody, not just Black people. They won't ever do anything just for Black people. They'll do things just for Jewish people, just for Asian people, just for immigrants who are non-citizens. But when it comes to Black people, that's woke. Why y'all begging? Oh, when you cut that check for millions and millions of dollars to the Jewish and Asian people, it wasn't begging. When we saying just give me a scintilla of what you gave them, which we should be asking for even more, but even when we ask for that, they saying hail to the no, right? And you're just supposed to just shut up, nigger, and take it on the chin, right? That's what you're supposed to do. So all of these programs, that's why they always say a rising tide lift all boats, but all these other boats are not sunk, right? We need first we need to get to the surface. Our boat is underwater. So first we need to get to the surface. And now that we're under the surface and we just finally got some breath, now we need some other assistance. Well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but that's not what other groups doing. When these non-citizens cross the border, they telling American citizens to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Then they tell a refugee to come over here. Oh, you're a refugee. Don't pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Here's all of the resources that we have for you. Right? Don't take my word for it. Just you can do a simple Google search and type in Cuban Refugee Act. That's just one. Cubans come over here. Cubans pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and then you look like, oh, damn, they got a lot of money, a lot of loans that were denied to the native population. I'm sure you can do a lot of stuff if you get some loans right now and get it popping, right? So how was that an apples to apples comparison? You denied one person a loan, you gave another person a loan, and then you say, well, why can't you be like them? Doesn't even make sense.
For the $2.1 billion pledge after George Floyd murder, Brian said Target completed 97% of it, but that money was already committed before the boycott even started. They didn't win that. That was already happening. Jamal Bryant got up there last week and said Target completed 97%. That 97% was already completed by 2024. So for the past year, you mean to tell me Pastor Jamal Bryant?
So Jamal Bryant and what she's doing right now is going through the list of demands. Look at what their number one demand is, right? Is that the number one thing? And mind you, they're framing this as they're fighting for the Black community. But the number one thing you want to do for the Black community is reinstate DEI, which helps everyone. Look, I'm fine with universal policies that uplift everyone, right? I'm an America First guy, so I believe in enriching the country. I'm not an isolationist. I do think that we could and should help other countries. I don't think that we should be funding Israel and Ukraine, what's going on in Ukraine. I don't believe that, right? But I do believe there are places, right? You want to help someone else, help out the Congo, help out Burkina Faso, Niger, right? Help out many of these places in South and Central America. You've helped destabilize them, help out Haiti, right? I believe in helping these people with the Marshall Plan, enriching them, right? But that's after we help Americans first, right? We have to ensure that we're okay. If the plane is about to crash, they don't say look at your neighbor in the eye and then put the gas mask or put the oxygen mask on your neighbor. They say make sure that you're secured first so you have enough energy and wherewithal to ensure that everyone else is safe. How could you protect someone else when you can't even protect yourself, right? You won't even be here to protect anyone else if you don't protect yourself. So how in the fudge does reinstating DEI help the black community? It doesn't. This is why I don't believe this is organic grassroots. They may have some grassroots individuals who really believe and want to help people, but reinstating DEI is just reinstating to help white women predominantly. Does it help some other people? Sure. But we're talking about the majority. Who does it disproportionately help? If it disproportionately helps white women, that means it disproportionately doesn't help black people and black women who are the face of crashing this thing out, right? And target all of these demands. Jamal Bryant is saying, hey, they've already met like 97% of the demands. The demands that they allegedly met were prior to the boycott. Come on, man. He's trying to put a wig on a pig. He's over here saying, hey, look, oh my God, look at all this progress that they've done. It's like, hold on. They really didn't do anything. They done all that stuff a long time ago. He let the heat die down and he like, yep, nothing to see here, folks. Huh? This is what you call bloviating biblical buck broken blather. Whose man is this? Who paid this goofy nigga to go out there and say, hey, we're not protesting anymore? Nigga, who is we? I wasn't protesting anyways, but if I was protesting, who are you to come out there and try to say, yeah, we're done here, bro? Why? Because you got a check. You as an individual got a check. So now you saying that the community is done. And I'm so sick of these biblical bozos going around using the word of God, dressing up in a suit. Why do these niggas keep getting invited onto shows and stuff? Why? Because they're part of the black misleadership class. And this is why I shout out to SWP, because he always talks about America has the black people that they deserve. First of all, not all of us is criminals and degenerate and all this other type of stuff. But since they want to highlight that segment of the population, what else are you expecting? Right? You want to disenfranchise a group. You want to racially target this group. You want to racially deny this group. You try to politically replace and displace this group. And then you say, look at the crime they're doing. I don't give a fuck. And let them keep doing crime. They say crime pays. That there wasn't some thuggish nigga from Chicago that came up with that term, right? And all these other groups, they just do organized crime. So because they do crime and don't get caught, then you think they're not criminals, right? Most of the criminals are in Congress, but they've convinced you that some nigga on a corner selling an eighth of weed, you need to be afraid of him. Meanwhile, Congress people are backing loans and grants for people that are selling metric tons of weed. Which one is, but it's legal. They're selling tons legal. Okay, this dude sold an eighth of weed to some dude who wanted to get high because he wanted Netflix and chill. Lock that nigger up. Okay, fine, right? You know, you do the crime, you do the time, right? That's what they say. But when all of these people are over here allowing people to come into the country illegally, paying them under the table illegally, knowing that they have false documentation, that's a crime, right? But who is doing the time for that? Let's get back into it.
One of you idiots who boycotted, he wanted y'all to boycott over 3%. Demand number 3, invest in HBCUs. Well,
oh snap, it must be an early day. Von Bryant, what the hell you doing over here, bruh? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. Salute to the OG, big dog, Von Bryant in the building. And we got last call, Mr. Midnight Soul himself, or Midday Soul, depending on where you at. Salute to last call. Let's get back into it.
Oh, Target gave $10 million to a HBCU design school, and they gave $18 million to the UNCF, that's United Negro College Fund. Sounds good, right? But again, these were already existing programs. Nothing.
Hold up. I didn't even think about that. Now that I think about it, maybe that's why I hadn't seen you here for a minute.
Oh, damn! Stop the press. Wait a minute.
Stop the press. Wait a minute. Are you related to Jamal? Are you just mad because I'm flaming, bro, and you don't want to take claim to him? Mr. Brian, I need to know, is this your man's? I was asking whose man's is this, and then suddenly Mr. Brian pops up. Awfully suspicious. Is this your guy? If this your guy, you might want to turn it off now, bro. If this your cousin, your uncle, you might want to turn this off now, Mr. Brian. Let's get back into it though. Hold up. Uh-oh. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Mr. Bryant, he popped up like peekaboo. I ain't seen you for a minute. Then I talk about Jamal Bryant and Mr. Bryant pops up. I'm just saying, awfully suspicious. It's all love though. Salute to Mr. Bryant.
New to negotiate. Do you know when Target gave that $10 million to the Black Design School? Back in 2022. Yeah. Pensacola Lewis College of Business and Design in Detroit. Target announced in October of 2021.
Yeah, and this is why I called it biblical bozo blather, because people, they go around and they kind of Bible thump and then they live these degenerate, debaucherous lives. They engage in a lot of depravity, but at the same time, they try to preach to people. So Mr. Bryan says, let's not forget that this same Jamal who says that Jesus is out of order 85% of his life, he's a false teacher and a moron. I would concur, which is why I have to ask, why is anyone supporting him or following him? And this is why the church has been so pathetic. Specifically all churches in general, but specifically many in the Black church. They've weaponized the good book. They say the good book, but a lot of the stuff they're doing is bad. So if the book is so good, why are you misinterpreting it so wrong and doing all of this bad, disgusting, unproductive, regressive stuff, but still saying, follow me? You're not following me. You following God, nigga. You ain't no God. But this whole thing too, and let me talk about this too, because this whole investing in HBCUs, like, this is not doing something for the Black community. Let me make this clear. Investing in HBCUs is not doing something for the Black community. It's doing something for the country. There's so many non-Black people that go to HBCUs, right? If it was just for Black people, then only Black people would benefit. But the entire country benefits because anyone could go. Now, if you see a white person and an Asian, of course they don't want to go to an HBCU. They want to try to get into some Ivy League school. But there's no HBCU that are going to deny any Asian foreign exchange students. When there were Ukrainians who were coming over here fleeing the war, they're just fleeing a war. And then they came over here and they got room and board to a HBCU, right? I'm not saying that these schools should be underrepresented in terms of funding, but to pretend as if investing in a HBCU, the majority of Black Americans don't go to HBCUs. We're disproportionately underrepresented in academia, period, not just at HBCUs. So how is this helping us again? Right? This helps the HBCU endowments, who many times are run by non-Black people. And if the Black person if there is a melanated person, oftentimes it's some sort of immigrant, and they say, hey, look, this is an ethnic minority. But I thought we were talking about, it's called historically black colleges and universities, not historically ethnic minority colleges and universities. But see, we're a loving people. We're all inclusive. We don't mind if everyone come. We don't care if you're Latino, white, anyone come through. But just stop pretending as if investing in HBCUs is, hey, we love the black community so much, so we're going to invest in HBCUs. That it's just really a money laundering scheme, you know, because many of the people in the top leadership positions are not black, and definitely not foundational black American, right? So who is this benefiting after all, right? And just, okay, fine, they invested in what's called a historically black college, so somehow that did something for the black community. Look how much they invest in Harvard. Harvard has been historically white. Harvard is a historically white institution. Does any white person go around thinking that the government investing goodies, giveaways, and grants to Harvard is doing something for the white community? They give money to Yale, Harvard, MIT, all of these prestigious institutions that don't even need money. But they say, hey, we're paying them to research this and research that, right? So they pay all of these predominantly white institutions. But you don't hear white people going around saying they did something for the white community by giving money to Harvard. But if you give money to Florida International or Grambling, see, we did something for the black community. No, you did something for Grambling. It's a bunch of Latinos that go to Grambling, a bunch of white people and Asians that go to Grambling, right? So why won't you say that we did something for everybody? Because anyone could attend an HBCU, right? You have a better chance of getting into a HBCU with a full ride than getting into Harvard. Now, you may not think that, hey, it's as prestigious and I don't want to go to school with them N-words. Okay, fine, but that's your choice. Why are you complaining about a school that you didn't get into where there are plenty of other great or good schools that you could have get into? Stop having a victim mindset and stop pretending that an investment in the HBCU is an investment in the black community. It's not.
I'm sorry. They were going to invest $10 million to reopen the school in October 2021. As the nation's only HBCU design school, the partnership was part of a larger commitment to support Black communities and advance racial equity. Dan Gilbert, the Cleveland Cavaliers owner, he donated money. Nike donated money. That's
To be honest.
So y'all hear the growing theme. They keep saying black, 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 black. But then every time it's time to dole out some resources, you don't hear black at all. You hear ethnic minority, people of color, right? You hear all of these terms: marginalized groups, disenfranchised groups, underserved communities. But before y'all said all that, y'all was saying black person shot, black person killed, black person dies giving birth, black person beat by the cops, black person lynched. And since a black person got lynched, we need to give a grant to an ethnic minority. Okay.
reopened back in 2021. It was closed. They had to close their doors in 2013. Demand number 4, partner with a black bank. Brian admitted on that stage they got nothing. His words: Target does not have a relationship with not one black bank. Zero, zip, nada. Oh,
So Target doesn't have any relationship with a black bank, but they're like, hey, we love you guys. We got some Juneteenth ice cream and a George Floyd shirt, so that shows that we love the black community. Now, the black community is not benefiting from anything that Target is doing, any of these investments, right? Even with this whole $2 billion, where's the $2 billion going? Now, $2 billion would be a good investment if it went directly into people's pockets. But if it's going to go to boule, buck broken bozos like Jamal Bryant, then how is that serving the community? It's serving one token Negro that is an establishment tool. That's not serving the community. That's serving the plutocracy.
okay. Well, Pastor Pimp Bryant, did you yourself and your so-called organizations reach out to black banks for them to get a meeting with Target? Did you reach out to Target to at least have a meeting with black banks? Which black banks and how many? If you have not approached any black banks, Jamal Bryant, you can't tell Target to reach out to just random black banks. The finance world don't work like that. So if you want them to partner with a black bank, why didn't you organize black banks to come up with their agenda to give to Target?
Shout out to my sister, the real Dana, man, because she's always giving informative information and really breaking it down and showing, the ins and outs of how this thing works, man. And they didn't get anything. They protested for nothing. Like she said, they was protesting for like 3%. They got nothing. Like they didn't organize anything. They didn't organize and create something where Target can say, well, where do I send the money to? Right? These black churches didn't come together. You see, like a lot of these women on here, they arguing saying, well, you going against black women, but what did you guys organize where they can come and have a sit down and maybe give some money, because they're not rolling back DEI, right? So what's the plan B? What's the plan B, right? Listen, as foundational black Americans, man, we got to organize, man, and we got to start having a plan B separate from these democratic plantation thinking people, man, because they're not going to get nothing done. This is a capitalist system, man, and you have to have leverage, and you have to force their hand, man. But
yeah, salute to the brother. Like he said, it's a capitalist nation. You have to have leverage. You have to force their hand. DEI is not the thing to force their hand over, because all you're doing is trying to force their hand to benefit their community more. And let me try to pull this up one more again, right? Like I said, these are not my facts. I'm just a reporter and interpreter of the news, right? So let me see, right? Let me see if I made this bigger than all. I just typed this in, right? Don't take my word for it. Who benefits most from DEI hires? Let the people tell it. It's the niggers, right? That's how it's framed, right? The undeserving blacks, right? Meritocracy, like, okay, this country wasn't founded on meritocracy, but okay, let's go with that. This is from 11,000 results. Who benefits most from DEI hires? First of all, who created DEI? Y'all say that the blacks are low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys. You're a sub-Saharan with a low IQ. Okay, so clearly the low IQs are too stupid to create a DEI program and apparatus, right? So who was it created by? Oh, that would be the high IQ people. So are you blaming your community for creating DEI? Are you blaming your community for creating the program and apparatus that you benefited most from? Let's get into it, right? Like I said, these are not my facts. It's just a fact. I have no monopoly or control over the facts. I'm just here to report them. Who benefits most from DEI hires? It's not the niggas. White women. Oh, wow. Shocker. White women. Is anyone shocked? Well, maybe you are shocked because you've seen who they put the face of DEI. They're trying to convince you that George Floyd is the face of DEI, right? They say DEI and they say, but what about BLM? And then I say, well, most of those protests, it was white people out there, right? And then they start moving the goalposts again, right? So white women, they have been consistently documented, right? They have been consistently documented. Documented means proof. Proof means evidence. Evidence means facts in this context. They've been documented as the largest single demographic beneficiaries of corporate and institutional DEI programs, capturing a disproportionate share of hiring and advancement gains, meaning money, meaning upward mobility, meaning helping the white nuclear family. And guess who else benefited? As much as they say straight white men were discriminated against. Yeah, but if that straight white man was playing rugby and broke his leg, now he's a disabled person with the handicap placard. Handicapped people are disabled. You don't want to be ableist, do you? So now this straight white dude who was an athlete, who broke his leg, who's now disabled, is now a minority. If a dude's name was Billy Bob and he says, you know what, I'm tired of being a man, I want to change my name to Barbara Sue. Now, Billy Bob changed into Barbara Sue. Barbara Sue is trans. Trans people are part of a marginalized group and underserved community. They're minorities, entitled to the same DEI benefits as anyone else. So when there's a stratification of resources in DEI, guess who's at the bottom? Yep, you guessed it. Black people. But who are they painting as the face? Who do they have out there crashing out to be the mascots? The people who benefit the least. And that's what this country is used to. Using black pain, black bodies to be political voter mules, crash out so everyone else could benefit. Here, black, 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 black. This is what happened to black people. So we have to help ethnic minorities. But you weren't just saying ethnic minorities. You were saying black, 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 right? So this is how it always has been. And people just need to wake up. And fine, if the black people are not woken up yet, we can expect that, right? And I'm being facetious and satirical and a bit condescending, right? But y'all say that the blacks have low IQ, right? So it's going to take them a little bit of extra time to figure this out. But why haven't the high IQs figured this out? We can't blame the black people because they're just low IQ, right? But you, on the other hand, you're supposed to be so sophisticated. Don't you have a degree? Do you have a bachelor's? Oh, no, you went further. You have a master's? You went to an Ivy League school? You said the black kids were born in fatherless homes, but you were born with two parents and a silver spoon. So why haven't you figured this out? Why are you running around pretending as if black people are disproportionately benefiting from DEI when you know it's your community who created and constructed it and benefits the most from it? How pathetic and disingenuous could you be? White men, while not as prominent as white women, white men have also benefited from DEI initiatives, with many occupying leadership roles. So how are white dudes getting DEI leadership roles? Another thing too is if you're a white dude and say, hey, you know what? I'm not bisexual anymore. I want to come out the closet. I'm fully gay. And the dude says that he's a bottom. Brad is a bottom now. Beta Brad says that he's a bottom. Well, guess what? Now he's not a straight white dude. He is a white dude, but now he's a bottom Nancy boy. So now he's entitled to the same DEI benefits, which helps who? How does this help black people? How does a white trans dude get in DEI help black people? How does a white gay dude get in DEI help black people? How does a white woman get DEI help black people? How does a non-citizen immigrant get in DEI help black people? Don't worry, I'll wait. So I'm gonna transition into one more video on this topic of DEI, and then I'm just going to move on. I appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, at least momentarily, and for that, I thank you. And Roger said, hold on, just got here. YouTube never notified me. Dang, I was wondering where you at, Roger. And I like that photo. Roger over there, you looking extremely happy, man. So salute to Roger Meadows in the building. Shout out to Nassau County, but where Brooklyn at? And Mr. Brian says, I'm cooking. Hey, I'm trying, bro. Chef B-Eazy. What it did it do? Okay, so hold on. Give me one moment. I'm going to pull up this other video right here. Oh, actually, I just have to find the video. Literally give me like 30 seconds. So I'm going to hit y'all with a quick visual and I'll be right back because I got to pull this video up. Thank you.
Be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, he is that dude, be easy, he is the one that you can call so he can get the job done. He about to reign supreme if you thought his run would soon end. He just getting started though, so go ahead and tune in. Be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, 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 he is that dude.
And we back at it. So this video I'm reacting to from the brother Tim Black TV. You can watch this video uninterrupted on his channel. It's titled, I Was Out of Touch. Jamal Bryant apologizes to Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory over the Target boycott. So Jamal Bryant, they were accusing him, the sisterhood, they're attempting to form Voltron, some of them, and say that, hey, he tried to hijack this movement and this boycott from the sister girls. So Jamal Bryant went out tap dancing, trying to be the spokesperson of Black people, saying, yes, Target has satisfied the request and demands of the boycott. Therefore, the Black community is ending it. And those said, hold on, bruh, you didn't start this, so you can't end it. Like, who are you? You don't even go here, right? That's what they told him. So now, after the sisterhood formed a Voltron syndicate, and some of them came at him with a lot of vitriol and animosity, right? Now he's over here trying to cop pleas. So I'm going to break down some of the video of him splaining. He's splaining to the sister girls, and then I'm going to get into some of the commentary of Tim Black, and then we're going to transition into some of the other topics. All right.
Apologize to you for being a leader that was.
Okay, our next story is the Target blow up.
I made assumptions that were not true. And I wanted to apologize to you for being a leader that was out of touch with what it is that the community wanted and sensed what it is that the community were demanding. It's much greater than those four, and I've heard you, overwhelmingly so. And not having a good read of the room, I take full responsibility of.
I am not encouraging people to go back and shop at Target. It really is a sin and a shame that it took them this long for us to get to this point. I think what the three of us, for a brief moment, let me just speak for the three of us, which is Leader Mallory laid it out, that we came to give an update because the people who participated in this with us all over this country deserved an update and to know where we are. Based on the update, the history, the information, and the update, people have to decide whether or not Target is worthy enough for you to go back in their stores. I personally, and as Leader Mallory laid out, her mother even saying she's not going back, I'm telling you, I am not going back. And particularly because we are owed a public apology. And so I want to see the Target CEO, just as they quit us publicly, they need to reaffirm their love for us publicly. Ultimately, people.
Oh, man, I hate to do this. Shout out to Sister Nina Turner, right? I love Nina Turner, right? But I think, unfortunately, I'm B1, which means Black first. Nina Turner appears to be D1, and I don't mean Division 1. I mean Democrat first. All this stuff is Democrat shillery. And I'm going to be respectful. Other people, the Coons, Sambos, the Boulets, I kind of unleash a little bit. My language gets a little bit more colorful. But I do actually like Nina Turner, and I do respect her. What I don't respect is this Democrat tap dancing and shillery. She's over here saying, Target quit us publicly, so they need to give us a public apology. What do you mean they quit us? Target wasn't really doing anything for the black community. All of those things that they allegedly were doing, it wasn't for the black community. It was for everyone. It's just was framed as for the community. Everyone could go to HBCUs, right? Those billions of dollars, what institution did it go to, right? The DEI, that wasn't for the black community. They used the black face and put a couple black women in some prominent positions and say, see, this is what we did for the black community. Right now, if Elon Musk takes a white dude from Appalachia and appoints him CEO of Tesla, is that doing something for the white community, right? If George Lopez goes and finds a day worker at Home Depot and says, hey, look, man, you're going to be the CEO of my company, is that doing something for the Latino community? You doing something for an individual token is not doing something for the collective. Hey, that's good that you did something for that individual. I'm an American, so I want to see Americans thrive, right, and flourish in this country. But doing something for an individual is not doing something for the community, and we need to stop accepting that as some sort of tangible. It's not. And FBA Strong says he's an FBA content creator. He needs to investigate Dana and Judge Joe Brown much deeper. They take their sneaky jabs at FBA on a frequent basis. Yeah, I actually had to unsub from Dana, and she does make good content, but then she had went on this tirade and was taking jabs and stuff like that. It was just totally unnecessary. It came out of left field. Judge Joe Brown, while I do respect him, he has great knowledge, great insight and perspective on many things. And then he does do a bit of the Sambo shuffle sometimes. And it's chalked up, oh no, he's just old from a different generation, right? Well, if you're old from a different generation, times change, right? So in that generation, maybe that line of thinking and mentality would have worked, but you got to kind of get with the times. I'm not saying you have to completely change your identity, but things in the past that was accepted as cultural norms are not really as accepted, right? When I grew up, like whippings or corporal punishment was like super accepted. Not saying kids don't get whooped anymore, but like it wasn't a big deal. People would be like, go get me a twig off the tree, you get a whooping with that. People's mamas or grandmas, they had these what I call the Jesus sandals, bro. Those things were so thick, like it was like a weapon, bro. Like if you hit somebody with those things, you might give them a concussion, right? People was getting whooped with bare booty out. You feel me? So it's like a lot of that type of stuff is not happening. Now, does it happen occasionally? Yes, but some people evolve with the times and say, yeah, my kid may deserve a whooping, but I'm going to try to find a different way to enact some level of discipline and punishment on them without physically having to beat them, right? So I'm saying all this to say, right? People like Judge Joe Brown, and they try, well, I'm just from the old school. Well, nigga, it's not the old school anymore, bruh. So it's okay. You can still have that old school mentality, but when you get checked by the new school, don't just keep trying to revert back to, well, I'm an old head. Well, hey, bro, old heads. So it's funny because it's like, you don't want me to discriminate on you based on your age. So fine, I'm going to treat you like a YN. Show him some respect. I'm showing him the same respect I would show a YN. Or unless you're saying you want me to show him preferential treatment just because he's old, I ain't doing that. Not all elders are older, right? And some elders are just elders, not elders. Let's get back into it though. Oh, but also I don't know if I gave a shout out to Big Rig Slaps, the big block boat rider in the building. Let's get back into it.
People have to make their own decision. But as for me and my house, we will not be going back to Target.
From my understanding, I heard that they received an NAACP Image Award as well. At least Jamal Bryant did. You know, as a result of
He did.
He
Jamal
got
Bryant.
the NAACP.
The other thing too, the NAACP is a raccoon and tether factory. So we definitely need to, like, these legacy institutions, we need to call them out and we need to detach from them. Whatever they used to be for the Black community, they're not that anymore. They've been infiltrated by self-serving, buck-broken boule bozos and tyrannical tethers, because all they want to do is cosplay and take over, right? They're coming to be transplants to take over and say, hey, we're destiny swapping. And unfortunately, many elders have just allowed it to happen in the name of we all Black. Like, no, that it's a bunch of Asians that will acknowledge that they're all Asian, but they won't allow their community, their culture, their heritage to be collapsed under a banner of Asianness. So the whole flat Blackness thing is dead. We've tried it. There is a definition of insanity. This is not the definition, but some people say this is the definition. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, we've been claiming flat Blackness over and over and over and over. So why are we expecting different results unless we delineate, unless we disaggregate the data so we know who's who, what's really going on, who created what, who contributed what? But not only that, it's a way to culturally preserve your lineage and heritage. I don't want my lineage collapsed under some global generic African term. I don't know anything about Africa. I've never been to Africa. No one in my family is from Africa or never been to Africa. And if they did go to Africa, they were treated as a foreigner, as a tourist and a visitor, not as someone returning home to the motherland, right? But we've been also joined by Tutneys, says, yeah, JJB has been giving raccoon vibes for a while. Yeah, salute to him. Like I said, he's an accomplished brother. I'll tip my hat to that. But we can't do the idolatry and we have to compartmentalize. There's a bunch of rappers. Lil Wayne is one of my favorite rappers all time. You know, maybe number one, maybe number three. I can't give a top position, right? One of my favorite rappers of all time. One of the greatest lyricists to ever pick up a pen. But you put a mic in front of him, and many times he starts to sound like a raccoon doing the Sambo shuffle. And it's a lot of artist celebrities like that. But because you love them in a movie, oh, he did such a great acting job. Yeah, this person was great doing that acting job or great doing this song, but that doesn't negate the Sambo proclivities of them. It would be a dereliction of your civic duties to not call them out and hold them accountable. I unfollowed that stuff when he ran for whatever. Did you say that a whipping with Jesus sandal? Yeah, you know, I'm gonna try to find an image of it, bro. Those sandals, bruh. Y'all know. See, now the new age, they don't get whoopings no more, so they don't really know what I'm talking about. They like, what is a whooping, right? Like, huh? Or, you know, like my W people like to call spanking. Nah, my mom is like, nah, you ain't getting no spanking, nigga. You getting a whooping. And it ain't just a whooping, it's an ass whooping. You feel me? Like I said, bro, those Jesus sandals, like one thing about the Jesus sandals, they was hella versatile. You can smack them on the leg wherever you hit. And then if you try to run, if they throw the Jesus sandal, it almost hit you like a boomerang. Like it was kind of special powers in those Jesus sandals. They don't make them like that no more. I don't know why the sole was so thick. I guess it was just for you to be walking on various terrain. Like you can walk on glass. You damn near could walk on hellfire and brimstone with those sandals. Now that I think about it, yeah. Shout out to the Jesus sandals, though. I might have to try to pick me up a pair, for weapon purposes. Let's get back into it.
CP award off of the Target boycott that he did not start. So think about that. That is a lot of social capital, cultural capital, awards. And I would say the most dangerous thing that happened during that time is him being allowed at the negotiating table on behalf of Black America.
Yeah, I gotta stop us there, fam, because when I see this graphic here, I see him in front. This is where I got a problem, fam. First of all, I thought this was a Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory thing. This Nikema person, I didn't know that she was. I saw her with Don Lemon in the protests at the church for ICE. So I'm kind of confused about what's her role in this. Seems to be pretty upset. Was there like a group of people already boycotting Target, and then he just walked?
Well, one thing about that Nakima chick, she's like one of these all lives matter thing, which I do believe that all lives matter. I just don't think it should be conflated when you're talking about a specific harm to a specific group. When we're talking about breast cancer, don't come talk to me about prostate cancer. I do care about prostate cancer, just not when we're having a discussion about breast cancer, and vice versa. If I'm talking about prostate cancer, don't come to me and talk to me about breast cancer or colon cancer. I'm not saying that one or the other matters more, but I'm saying that they're different cancers. Breast cancer is not colon cancer. It's a different cancer. So it's a different discussion. We don't need to mix and conflate and muddy the waters. So if we're talking about a specific group, this group is failing, then we need to specifically target that group to ensure that they're not failing. You can't say, hey, this group is failing, so we have to help someone in another country that's not a citizen. How does that help the group that's failing? Well, it doesn't, but all lives matter, right? Yeah, all lives do matter, but you're not talking about all lives. They're saying Black on Black crime. They're not talking about human on human crime. Okay, fine. There's Black on Black crime. Don't we need to target and focus on the Black community to eliminate the crime? Well, how you stop crime in Black communities is by bringing somebody over from Tijuana because they're fleeing gang violence. Huh? You just said there were gangs in Chicago and Oakland. So the answer to mitigating crime violence in Chicago and Oakland is to bring over some Venezuelans from Trinidad Agua. Okay, make that make sense for me.
Them said, hey, boycott, let me jump up in here. I got this. Let me do this. It just took it over. Or did somebody invite him to be a part of it? He becomes part of it, and because his name is so big, he becomes the leader of it.
Oh, FBA strong. You was one of them little problem childs. I could see, bro. That's why bro got all them muscles, bro, from taking all them shoes to the back. Your mom was chucking them shoes at you. FBA strong says, I used to take that whooping like a soldier. This the whole thing. Now, this is a colloquial term in the FBA house. I'm not saying that it didn't happen in any other houses, but this is a FBA term, right? Your mama smack the dog piss out you and say, boy, shut the hell up before I give you something to cry about. Like, you just did. That's why I'm crying. They'll be whooping you, with the thick leather belt with a metal buckle on it, straight from the rodeo, right? They'll be whooping you. Pull down your pants so I can whoop you, not just the jeans. You feel me? You'll be lucky if you have some thick sweats and some jeans. Nah, pull them pants down so this belt is going to booty. When they say belt to ass, they don't say belt to denim. they say belt to gluteus maximus. So you feel me? Like it was rough back then, but you know what? I think it made people character, right? I don't look at and say like, oh, I was whooped as a child, so that's what traumatized me. But I know for now, many of these kids, they're coddled and emotionally and mentally fragile. And I'm not saying that to denigrate. I'm just saying for whatever reasons, a litany of reasons they are. But I think some people did need to get whooped. Salute to FBA Strong. Sound like bro needed to get whooped. Now, I'm not advocating for violence, but hey, you know, because like now it will be considered child abuse, right? But some kids is bad as heck, man. Like some kids need a whooping, bruh. And Tutney says the cancer analogy is spot on. As a demonstration, we should start a facetious all cancers matter movements during October. You know what I'll do? Already have the all slurs matter. I will be presenting some of the visuals. So yeah, thank you, Tutneys, and I'll definitely give you credit for that. But yeah, I got some merch coming out. Shout out to Johnson Different. But it's called All Slurs Matter. Why should the N-word reign supreme? Because the N-word, nigger, that's the granddaddy of them all. If we're okay with saying nigger, and that's the most vile, disgusting, grotesque slur of all, right? Then we should be okay with all of them. All slurs matter. People are against DEI and affirmative action, right? So why should one slur get all the attention? Let's just use all the slurs, right? It's just a word. Yeah, all of those slurs are just words, right? So let's start using them all. Let's get back into it.
And while it was going on, were people jumping in and saying, you know, like before he spoke out of turn, before that, were people complaining about him being in the front? So my point is this: if you want somebody to give you extra publicity that your ass ain't got to pay for, then you can't be mad when they get more publicity. And I'm just saying, it just seems like people want it both ways. And either way this thing went, this is a bad look. Yeah, Mr. Nakima, this is a bad look. This looks like N-word stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's how it looks. Particularly when I look at the press conference, and it seems like Nakima's the only one kind of like really complaining. When I looked at the press conference, I saw basically unison. Yeah. I saw cohesion. I didn't see people pissed off.
So I think that Nakima chick, she just wants credit for creating this movement. She says, we're winning. Like, but what are we winning? They're pretending like, oh, they have Target on the ropes. And this is really what I want to address. And shout out to the Brody Cloudness. We got Nassau County in the building, but where Brooklyn at? Looks like Brooklyn has pulled up to the party. I got lucky. My parents were too old. I did get smacked around. Yeah, Roger, you look like a little bad, mother, shut your mouth, right? So I could see you getting spankings and whoopings, the corporal punishment. Look, what's crazy though about the whoopings, even though the whoopings hurt, you would get like a few bam, bam, bam. You would cry, you would get it out, and you're like, all right, whatever, is over. The things that I got that was worse than whoopings, I had to stand in the corner. I was like, give me my whooping and let me go. But when I had to stand in the corner, I had to stand in the corner for hours. You can't sit in the corner. You got to stand. If the TV is on, you better not turn around and look at that TV. You have to stand in the corner and look at the wall. Little kids come into the house. Could he come out inside and play? No, he's on punishment. So I have to watch the friend. I couldn't even really look at my friends. I hear the friends, hey, turn around. So yeah, I was like, in terms of the whoopings, like, give me my whooping and let me go. But yeah, so if anybody want to punish their kids, now you really don't got to whoop them. Any of those electronic devices they have, take it from them and be firm with it. Don't say, little Billy, I'm taking away your iPhone and your PS5, and then after 20 minutes you give it right back to them, right? So yeah, that's a way. But yeah, the standing in the corner ain't no joke. Or another thing too, push-ups, right? This would be a way. Okay, cool, you should already be doing a certain amount of push-ups a day anyways, but as punishment we gotta step it up. If you doing 50 a day, okay, cool, the punishment is 200 or 300 or something, and you can break it down in increments, sets of 10, sets of whatever. And from that discipline, from that arduous routine, something good will come from it. A diamond is just a rock, but put under excruciating pressure, it becomes one of the most valuable and precious stones in all the land. Now, y'all see some of the other things in the title and the thumbnail. MAGA split. So right now, there's all sorts of mayhem and chaos going around the world. So I'm going to touch on some of the things that are splitting MAGA. A lot of it has to do with Israel. Is this the MAGA movement or the MAGA movement, making Israel great again? Or is this truly MAGA? So here's one video that I will react to, at least some of it. This video is about almost an hour long. I don't think I could do that much. These are two bigots. One's name is Dan, the bigot Bilzerian. However, at least Dan Bilzerian, he's open and typically honest with his bigotry. At least he will say some honest, bigoted things. He won't be honest with his bigotry. He'll pretend as if, hey, well, I love people, bro. And it's like, yeah, you can love people and still say some bigoted things. And then there's also Patrick Bet David, or Patrick Buck Broken Bozo David. It's who I like to call him, because this dude is considered a model minority, but any opportunity he can, he pulls down his pants, bends over and spreads cheeks and gets buck broken voluntarily. And while they're buck breaking him, he says, please don't use any lube while you're buck breaking me. Go in as hard and rough as you can. That's who Patrick Bet David is. So we're going to get into this discussion that he has. This is titled Dan Bilzerian and Patrick Bet David Debate Politics and Modern Dating. I don't know why anyone would want to get any advice from these dudes. I know Dan Bilzerian describes himself as a hedonist at one time. He was just running through a bunch of chicks, extremely degenerate, extremely debaucherous. But hey, who raised him and whose culture is that? And Patrick Bet David, you're a Iranian and Assyrian dude who fled your country, sold out your country, and found the nearest white chick that you could find. And there's nothing wrong with white women. They're beautiful creatures. I love all human beings. But yeah, he tried to come over here and he found the first milk of magnesia that he could. And it was like, yeah, I need a sip or a swig of that. So let's get right into the video. And of course, if you want to watch it uninterrupted, I've given you where to watch it. I will have to pause it and give my commentary so that it's not a copyright strike. Let's get into it.
Recently, when I watched some of your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined AIPAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal, and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel, and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden, we got scripture here. For what shall it profit? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent, comments you're making about Israel a recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
It's more recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, like, you know, you can't say anything about it. They'll fucking kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. Like, shit. Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing. And the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, you know, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like, they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, you know, would constitute, you know, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But, you know, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, you know, right before he died was, you know, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, you know, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. Like, you know, and
just so we keep in the stream interesting, intriguing, and informative, I gotta hit y'all with some scholarship. So this dude mentioned the USS Liberty, which a lot of people don't know, right? So let me see. Let me go ahead and pull this down. And salute to the chat. Just give me uno momento. I'm gonna see what y'all talking about after I go through this. Hold on. Maybe, is it clear for y'all to see? Okay. The USS Liberty incident refers to a deadly 1967 attack. 1967 wasn't that long ago. Some of y'all parents are born before 1967. Many of my supporters and subscribers are born on or before 1967, right? So this wasn't some ancient hieroglyphic times. The deadly 1967 attack by Israeli forces on a U.S. Navy intelligence ship. Hold on. Did I hear that right? Israeli forces attacked a U.S. Navy intelligence ship in 1967. But these are our biggest allies, right? This was during the 6-Day War. It killed 34 Americans, wounded 171. The event remains one of the most controversial episodes in U.S.-Israeli relationships, with the ongoing debate over whether it was a tragic misidentification or something more deliberate. See, if you assume or presume that it was something more deliberate, insidious, and sinister, you're anti-Semitic. That's what it turns into. But 34 Americans were killed, 171 wounded. It's just, oopsie, my bad. We're allies, even though we slaughtered so many Americans. Oops, my bad. Trust me, bro. Okay. The USS Liberty was having a U.S. Navy technical research ship, Signals Intelligence. It was operating in the international waters north of the Sinai Peninsula during the 6-Day War. Israeli Air Force fighter jets and Navy torpedo boats attacked the ship over roughly an hour. The ship was heavily damaged but remained afloat. So why did Israel attack? Israel stated it believed the Liberty was an Egyptian vessel. Huh? Okay. Oops, my bad. When have Egypt been known for their impressive vessels? Just in what point in history were they ever known for that, right? But okay, fine. It was a mistake. Oopsie, you know what I mean? Still give us billions and billions of dollars every year. Show me the story of Iran accidentally killing 34 Americans on a U.S. tanker. Don't worry. I'll wait. They're the leaders of state-sponsored terrorism. It's like I keep hearing a lot of terrorist actions coming from this particular place, right? So I just want to get into a little bit of that when he was talking about the USS Liberty attack, which somehow just gets lost in history. It happened in 1967, a year before King was assassinated.
I just look at what they provided us with, and it's shit. Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing, and the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, you know, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like they provide the.
Hey, and salute to Ashura Sak Passe. I've been streaming for like a little bit over an hour.
U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, you know, would constitute, you know, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But, you know, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, you know, right before he died was, you know, make AIPAC a foreign entity and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, you know, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. Like, you know, and I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, you know, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, you know, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, you know, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, you know, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, you know, Democrats in there. So, you know, but that's 100,000. Like, what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? You know, and so.
And this is why we got to get money out of politics, right? But why is this dude not advocating for that? Instead, he's just saying, yeah, I donated $100,000. So, and then he's saying, yeah, but man, what about the people who donated 100 million or 200 million, right? But yeah, you're still advocating to be able to have money decide elections. It shouldn't be decided by how much money is poured into a campaign. It should be decided by who has the best policies, but that's not the case. It's whoever pushes out the best propaganda, the most provocative and alluring propaganda. But propaganda isn't always right. There is, in a political campaign, propaganda is necessary, but propaganda isn't policy. So this dude is over here, yeah, man, I donated $100,000. So it's like, bro, why are you kind of whining? What is he saying that's going to change? All he's doing is whining about Israel. He's not saying I donated $100,000 and it shouldn't be like that. So what is he actually advocating against? I agree with him that we shouldn't be sending all this money to Israel. I do agree with him that there is a, let's just say, a Zio crisis in the country right now. But what is he doing to combat that? All he's kind of doing is whining. Man, it's Israel. It's the Jews. That's all he's really saying. Man, I donated 100K, man. What about the people who donated 100 mil? That would be the perfect time to say, and this is why we got to get money out of politics. But he's not going to say that. He's just going to keep going on. Israel, Israel, Israel. Israel, Israel, Israel. Okay, fine. Israel is no longer a threat. You still got Botheon, Northrop Grumman, Comcast, Google, Facebook, all of these other people. Elon Musk himself donated $100 million. That's just one dude. So fine, we got the Zios from Israel out the way, but it's a bunch of Christian Zios in America. Most Zios are Christian, and many of them are in America. So this dude, and he's supposed to be a smart dude, right? They frame him as he was a childhood savant, right? So he should be held to a higher standard of intellect and acumen. So why is he not saying that? Instead, he's just whining. I donated 100K. What do you think 100 million gets you? Well, that's money in politics. That's why they say big bank take little bank. And then what are you going to cry? The big bank took mines. Well, you got to try to vote for a system that's much more fair, but y'all don't want fairness. Y'all don't want socialism. Y'all don't want communism. Y'all don't want to equalize stuff. So, hey, it kind of is what it is. He's trying to have it both ways. He wants to be this raging capitalist, but then at the same time, whine about what AIPAC and all these other people are doing. AIPAC is just doing what the system that you cape for allows them to do. I mean, don't blame AIPAC, blame the system. That's why they say, don't hate the player, AIPAC, hate the game.
But they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, you know, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, you know, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit.
To be honest, bro, some person had told me before that my channel was shadow banned. I don't know how they can tell, but I guess there's ways that they can tell. So yeah, like my content is kind of shadow banned, which is why I'm a bit more colorful with my language, you know. But and then, you know, I guess the entity that I'm calling out by name and using explicit language, you know, I try to, you know, minimize the swear words. But at the same time, like I said, my channel is shadow banned. So if you can share, tell a friend to support. But, you know, I come up here so I can interact with the people, but also, oh, and Ashura says he sees it from his notification. So that's good. At least I'm not shadow banned or on Ashura's page. But someone did tell me that I was shadow banned on YouTube, which is not shocking. And then this topic that I'm covering now. But if I was sharing a bunch of fight videos talking about black on black crime, I probably would have 1,000 viewers right now.
I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, you know, Democrats in there. So, you know, but that's 100,000. Like, what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? You know? And so, like, I just know how it works. And the system is broken. Like, these people get into office and they don't have very much money, and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing, or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China, it doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Like, Israel is the only one that has a fucking, like, a lobby in the U.S. fucking, you know, giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel, you know, Israel?
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as well.
Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a, you know, country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship.
And this is true because this dude, he's worth at least like a couple $100 million, both of these dudes. So Roger says wealthy people like him don't have any issues with corruption. He loves it. This is why he focuses on social culture war issues like DEI, LGBTQ, men and women's bathrooms, which represents less than 1%, right? And this is why all you hear about is trans people. Literally, most of the commentary, you're going to be inundated with trans issues and immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. Bring us your sick, you're tired, you're poor immigrants, right? So this is why I talk about immigrant exceptionalism and immigrant privilege. Nothing against immigrants. Shout out to human beings from whatever walk of the planet you're from. But people like Dan Bozozarian, these issues aren't affecting him, but they use these issues to divide and distract, to create a weapon of mass distraction, right? Many of these people, they live in a different tax bracket. Many of these people are NIMBYs, not in my backyard. No niggers allowed, right? They've already been redlined out the neighborhood, so it's no niggas around you. I have black fatigue. Why? It ain't no black people around you. What are you fatigued of, right? I'm tired of seeing them on the screen. Your algorithm is feeding you what you want. So you want to see a bunch of fight videos. You go through their timeline. They're sharing fight videos of niggas in the UK. A fight video like, nigga, that video was from 2002. You know what I mean? Trans bathrooms, like, huh? You can't afford a home. Your gas prices are skyrocketing. You don't have health care. You can't afford to put your kid through college, but be mad at trans people for competing in sports. There's millions and millions of people in the country, but be mad at 5 trans people that are competing in sports across the entire 50 states. Be mad at 1 or 2 states that has non-binary bathrooms. People will say, we ain't having that in my podunk town. Okay, so why are you crying about it? Well, what about Chicago, bro? You're from Wyoming. Why the fuck are you talking about Chicago? Black on black crime. You live in a neighborhood and is 99% white. Most crime is intraracial. So all of this little goofy shit, Dan Bozozarian ain't gonna bring up, you know. He'll bring up BLM and George Floyd. Okay, fine. They said BLM was run by George Soros. Last time I checked, George Soros is not black. So the head of BLM wasn't black, but who gets to blame? Some poor black dude in the hood who didn't even go out in the protests. Will Dan Bozozarian, who's supposed to be so sophisticated and so high IQ, will he bring up any of this stuff? Patrick Bozo, Buck Broken David, he's a great businessman. So why won't he bring up these simple concepts that I'm talking about?
Appear. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, you got to, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country? You won't lose your citizenship. That was the arrangement at the beginning. Why they?
So this dude is not Israeli and he's not a Jew, but he's caping for the Jews so hard, which is fine. But it's like, bruh, why this particular group? You're not Jewish, but you're caping for Jews, right? He's a minority, but what other ethnic minority group does he cape for like that? He doesn't. And this is why, you know, people see him as just like a kind of tool for the Zios. Let me fast forward some a little bit.
He can be a Jew. He can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. Not everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they have 200?
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai. I've been to Saudi. Like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So okay. So you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terror.
So here he goes again. He's asking them, do you think the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist? And salute to bro, because he didn't take any time. He said yes. He doesn't believe that Israel should exist, right? And why do they always ask this question? Does Israel have the right to exist? It's like, come on, bro, come up with a better question. And I'll say, you know what? Yes, Israel has the right to exist, and then you got to immediately come back with, does Palestine have a right to exist? Have a right to exist? I answered your question. Could you clearly answer mine? Israel has a right to exist. Does Palestine have the right to exist? And then usually they start saying, but what about Hamas? I didn't ask you about Hamas. I asked you about Palestine. And then they'll start trying to frame that every person in Palestine is Hamas, right? So let's see what else we got to say. And I'm only going to listen to a little bit of this, and then I'll transition into the another video, because it's just Patrick Buck Broken Bozo David is just a little bit queasy and nauseating listening to this dude for too long.
Attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending them.
Well, let's just say that he was rich. They try to frame this where, just like they say, look at Hamas, they're billionaires. So it's because a couple Hamas leaders are billionaires, then that justifies bombing the country, slaughtering mainly women and children, or disproportionately women and children, just like they did with that little girls' school in Iran. Oopsie. Oh, we thought it was y'all. Not only that, they was like, it wasn't us, it was y'all. Y'all did it. Take credit for killing your own girls. And then they was like, oops. And then even still, they haven't came out and said nothing. And now people are trying to just say, well, it's just collateral damage. Many of these strikes have a 90+ civilian casual rate in many instances. So if there's 10, what they say, alleged terrorists, they'll be willing to sacrifice 90 civilians, disproportionately women and children, to kill 10 other people. But they say it's justified because we took out an evil terrorist. We took out an evil terrorist. So what if we had to kill 90 little girls in the process, right? We killed one big bad terrorist. It's like, who was the dude? You don't even know him. Trust me, bro. He was bad. Was he badder than any of us? Right? Was he badder than the dude who flew over his land and didn't just kill him? They killed him, his mom, his dad, his daughter, and his grandma as well. Right? But he's the big bad one. No, he was going to kill someone. So you assume that he was going to kill someone. So you preemptively go kill him. All right. Tell me how that's Christian again. What scripture is that? I would love to pull it up. I don't know if you know, but PBD is an MLM scam artist. He brags about capitalism, but never produced anything. Just society uses, just selling dreams and moving money. Yeah. And then he pretends as if his IQ is so high and that he did it because he has better culture than you, and he just works hard. He really buys into the whole model minority myth. And Trump said Iran used a THAAD missile. Well, Trump is a stumbling, bumbling, blathering idiot. And he says, I don't care for Bezos, Musk, but at least they put people, not the workers, but people like Amazon and those who can afford Tesla, who has PPD. What has PBD produced? Nothing. He's produced Valuetainment, a YouTube channel that has produced a bunch of stooges. So he's produced the Three Stooges.
Do you think that's defense? Well, when 1,200 people died, of which the 1,200.
It's not as like here. You can sit here. You can be an atheist. You can be an agnostic. I can be a Christian. You can be a Jew. You can be an LDS, Muslim. No problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. So everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai, I've been to Saudi, like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than, but go back to it. So, okay. So you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died, and of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that you've killed a lot during, your Hannibal.
I will tell you this. The part I question.
This is getting pathetic from PBD. Now he's saying Israel just defending themselves. Okay, what Hamas did allegedly was despicable. They allegedly killed 1,200 people. Israel is responsible for hundreds of thousands in response. We're just defending ourselves. They say an eye for an eye. How many times has it been an eye for an eye? Okay, they killed 1,200 Israelis, right? Israel comes back. Okay, fine. They killed 2,000 people, 5,000, right? That would be disproportionate, but you can say, okay, fine. They killed 1,200 Israelis, 5,000 Hamas people were killed, right? Instead, the death total is clearly over 50K. Clearly over 100K. Many of the bodies haven't even been found yet. So this whole thing that Israel is just defending themselves from Hamas. Okay, y'all said Hamas was just these uneducated, low IQ thugs running around in flip-flops. Imagine Aladdin running around with a rocket launcher. But you guys have the Iron Dome, all of this sophisticated intelligence apparatus. You say that the IDF is a formidable military unit and you're whining about Hamas? Why haven't they taken out Hamas yet? If Hamas is just these Aladdins and flip-flops running around with RPGs, why hasn't the big bag IDF taken them down? They're hiding in tunnels, but y'all destroyed all the tunnels, and Israel built some of those tunnels, and Israel funded Hamas. It's like the government funding crack and funding gangs, and then they're saying, look at what the Crips are doing with the guns you gave them, with the crack you gave them. Hey, we didn't force them to do crack. Yeah. No one forced Israel to build some of those tunnels. No one forced Israel to kill some of their people during that October 7th attack per the Hannibal directive and lie about it. There was no gun forced to their head making them lie about that.
Where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this. I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they're attacking.
They knew about it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. Yeah, they wanted a reason.
Yeah, no one believes that. We're saying that Israel is known for its supreme and superb intelligence apparatus, but they don't even know when their own home front is being attacked by what they describe as some Aladdins and flip-flops with AKs and RPGs, right? I mean, how weak and pathetic are your borders if Aladdin could just fly in on his proverbial magic carpet with an AK and start shooting people and raping and pillaging, right? Is what they allege, right? Where was this great Israel Defense Force? They wanted it to happen as a prerequisite for them to go in and say, look, we have to do this. We have to destroy Gaza and Palestine. And we have to do it because they're using people as human shields. Like, come on, bro. Nobody would say right now, if there was a terrorist in Walmart and he sees 4 little girls and say, hey, let me out of this store or I'm gonna off all 4 of these girls. Are you going to say, hey, he's using them as human shields and just blow everyone up and say it was justified to blow up those 4 little girls because we had to get that one serial killer? Nobody would accept that out here. But in Israel, you're supposed to accept it. There was one big bad terrorist, so I had to level a city block to get that one big bad terrorist. Okay. But then when someone else does it to them, it's anti-Semitic.
To take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. You know, how many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of or Hamas of or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves. And they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different.
Disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not like it's not like October 7th is like there's all of a sudden they just came over there unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating 2 sets of justice. You know, it's like they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, like if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like like cattle. If a Jew is killed by somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally like segregate in their Bible.
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a
it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have 2 sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it.
PBD, why didn't he say anything? He just said raping kids under 9 years old. That should be something that you want to kind of stop. Like, hold on, what do you mean? And he just kind of brushes past that, right? I mean, that's a serious allegation. Is it an allegation or is it a statement of fact? I would want to clarify that up. He's over here putting the cape on for random Zios across the globe. And when he's saying like, hey, some of them have practices where they fondle booty holes of 9-year-old kids and under. They have things where they do a circumcision and they like kiss the penis and do all sorts of stuff. Like these are not my practices. I'm not getting into whether they're right, wrong, whether they need to stop doing them or not. Like I can make a judgment on that at a different time. I'm making a statement of what is reported to happen on a consistent and a cultural basis. Why didn't PBD say anything about that? All he has to say is, but what about Hamas? No, what about these people that are playing with the booty holes of young kids?
It allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story on what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
what rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when
so here PBD, like I said, PBD once Dan said, okay, They're over here assaulting these kids, fondling these kids who are under 9 years old. PBD had nothing to say. Now he's saying, man, we all seen those videos. Huh? Actually, now that he said that, y'all heard that PBD said, look, we've all seen the videos.
Who is we? Who is we?
Who is we and what videos are he referring to? He's saying that we seen these videos and oh yeah, man, I know, bro. Like what videos, bro? All that shit that you're talking about was propaganda. It didn't happen. It's hearsay. And then when you really get down to it, like, bro, did you see the video? Oh yeah, I seen the video. Send it over to me. And then they like, damn, man, I lost it. It's like, bro, you got all these other videos, all this other proof and evidence, but the smoking gun. You lost that one? Okay.
Because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story of what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
What rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything.
No, but I'm asking. There.
He's asking him what rapes and videos, bruh. Like, no, stay on this. Like, he is staying on it. What rapes are you talking about? Like, you want me to, be sympathetic to something that has been reported to be false.
Was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No, there's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw.
You see what he said? There's plenty of stories. Well, Twitter has been pretty generous in allowing people to show stuff. I've seen some disgusting things. I've seen kids with limbs missing. I've seen people getting shot, right? And it's been extremely gory. It's funny because I've been seeing them showing kids with half of their face exploded, people getting things chopped off. IDF soldiers forcibly penetrating dudes from behind. Sometimes they're using foreign objects like guns to sodomize people, right? These videos you can find, right? But sometimes if you say nigga all day, if you say nigger all day, it'll be fine. But if you try to say Ike with a K in front of it, they ain't gonna let that slide. If you try to say Yagit, drop the Y and add a F, they probably ain't gonna let that slide. But nigger, they let that slide, right? They let many of these bombings slide unless it's happening to the Israeli. So when he's over here saying, oh, there were stories. No, where's the footage of it, right? And then they keep saying that, oh, well, we've seen the footage. So apparently they're sharing the footage, the alleged footage around behind the scenes. Like, won't you show everyone? Like when Emmett Till was beaten by these savage, low IQ cowards, right? His mom said, keep an open casket, right? I want y'all to see what y'all did and what the country was champion on, right? So why won't you show how disgusting Hamas is by the things that they did? Instead, it's just like, we have the videos. Hamas is horrible. Trust me, bro. No, I trust, but verify.
Recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in the hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There's no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And if you look at how they operate, right, like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt...
Yikes. And this is what people really don't talk about. There were riots because some people in the IDF were forcibly penetrating Palestinians from behind, sodomizing them with objects, getting their rocks off. And there was protests that say, hey, these people are Amalek. They're not even really people. They're scum of the earth, and we should be able to do that, right? Whose culture is this, right? Because when you're, well, what about Chicago and what about Oakland? There's no stories of a gang from Oakland going around doing organized RAPEs of people. There are stories of the IDF soldiers systemically and violently RAPing Palestinian people. Who raised these people? Whose culture is this? So this video I will be reacting to is from Piers Morgan, the resident bigot in Britain, the bigoted Britain bozo. And this is from a chick named Carrie Prejean Baller. Apparently she had some sort of religious position in the Trump administration, and she was unceremoniously dismissed. I think because she had some issues that Trump was not only bending the knee, bootlicking for Israel, he's been buck broken by Bibi Netanyahu, but he might not get buck broken by Bibi Netanyahu for too much longer, because there's rumors, it's rumored, it's reported, it's alleged that Bibi Netanyahu may no longer be here. They're saying that Bibi Netanyahu may be unalived. There have some videos that look kind of like deep fake AIs. I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm going to assume that he's still alive until it's confirmed that he's not here anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if he is unalived and they're just pretending. But whether BB is here or not, the Greater Israel Project will still be pushed forward. AIPAC, J Street, all of the other prominent oligarchic lobbies and Jewish specific lobbies will still be pushing the military industrial complex, will still be pushing for Israel as our greatest ally. So we have to give them billions and billions, right? So Bibi Netanyahu is considered like moderate, right? So they have some even more warmongering rabid Zios that are waiting to take his place. So whether he's here or not, this project will still be pushed forward. So let's see what she has to say and why she says MAGA is dead.
What is your view about this? Because I've known Donald Trump a long time, and I'm struggling to not see this attack on Iran as potentially the biggest miscalculation of either of his presidencies, simply because it is going on already much longer than he indicated it would. And there's no apparent easy off-ramp for him now. And it's causing a lot of damage economically, politically. You know, militarily, America is superior. But even there, they're sustaining losses. And there are many people, even in the most fervent MAGA part of his support, who say, look, this guy campaigned on no more involvement in foreign wars, particularly in the Middle East. What is he doing? Staking everything on the biggest war imaginable in the Middle East.
Thank you so much for having me, Pierce. I've been a loyal supporter of the president for almost 20 years. This goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was Miss California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear friend. And I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I think that we are an occupied nation. I think that a foreign country has occupied our government. And we are seeing now that this president of the United States of America is being influenced by a foreign government. And MAGA, let me tell you right now, MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead, and Americans are furious. We do not recognize President Donald J. Trump anymore.
So obviously the foreign government you're talking.
Now I concur with her on one thing. Well, actually, I can't fully say that I concur with her, When she said MAGA is dead, I would say how Ashura said that BB might be still alive, but he might be on life support. I will say MAGA is on life support. So they're not dead, they're damaged. How about that? So because there's still many MAGA moronic minions out there who know that Donald Trump is a stooge, a low IQ lunatic, but because he says some things that they agree with, and he will occasionally put forth some policy that around the edges you can say, okay, cool, maybe I do concur with this specific policy. But overall, he's not delivering. He said in terms of Russia and Ukraine, I'm gonna stop the war on day one. It hasn't stopped. It's escalated. No more new wars, right? He committed war crimes in his first term. He committed war crimes immediately into this term. And now he has us in multiple wars, right? Meddled in multiple countries. How is any of this America first? They keep trying to frame it as America first. And hey, just take the pain at the pump. Pay $6 for gas because that's America first. And we're sticking it to Iran on behalf of Israel. You know what I mean? But that's our greatest ally, so we have to worry about them, right? Don't worry about the data centers that are poisoning Black Americans. Let's worry about Israelis who have free health care for their citizens, right? But now people are just getting tired of it, right? And some MAGA wants to be MAGA, making Israel great again. And some of them are like, nah, I'm good.
About is Israel. And Marco Rubio himself said before he then did a complete reverse ferret on it, as we would call it over here in England, he said that the reason America preemptively attacked Iran was because Israel, he didn't name it, but it was obvious who he was talking about, had indicated they were going to launch an attack and that the Iranians may respond against American interests, which seemed a very convoluted.
So FBA Strong says, we live under their demonic culture. I'll keep my words mild. I'll take a deep breath, observe, learn, and prepare to protect us. Yeah, that's all you can do. Like, we have to be honest, right? Okay, fine. You can on one hand say that this is a white Christian nation. Okay, fine. I ain't gonna hold you. This is a white Christian nation, right? So that means that it's being run by white Christian people. Those are the people who are in charge, who are dictating everything. So if there was someone to blame, it would be white Christian people. Well, why are you blaming the whites? Because you guys said that you were the high IQs in charge, right? If you're looking at a football team that's failing, are you going to blame the powerless water boy? Are you going to blame the powerless towel boy? Are you going to blame the spectators and the fans? Are you going to blame the third string quarterback when you can blame the first string quarterback, when you can blame the other players on the team? There's also a coach, a general manager, a team president. Nobody would look at the Dallas Cowboys and say the reason why the Dallas Cowboys is not because of Jerry Jones. They're not failing because of them. They're failing them because that god darn towel boy didn't get those towels out there fast enough. And if only the water boy could run a 4.2, then the cow, like, nobody is doing that. So, hey, what they say, with great power comes great responsibilities. You guys tout you guys as the superior culture and the high IQs. Fine. You guys have a higher IQ and a superior culture. You also are disproportionately more wealthy, disproportionately in positions of power, influence, and authority. So that means when something goes on, you were in power. You were in the driver's seat. You were at the helm, which means you are going to get the majority of the blame. Sure, I'm sure there's other people and other factors or extenuating circumstances that you can point to, but we have to blame the big dog, the head person in charge. And that would be a certain racial demographic that is not foundational Black American, right? Y'all said we were too stupid and too powerless. Well, you guys are not stupid and you're not powerless. You're high IQ and powerful. So you get the blame, right? This is our country. It wasn't stolen. It was conquered. Okay, what did you do to conquer the nation? Just let me know. Did you RAPE anyone? Did you kill anyone? Okay, you did kill a bunch of people. So you RAP'd a bunch of people. You slaughtered them. You got people sick, right? Do tell me more about how you conquered, right? And once you get through telling me how you conquered, tell me how conquering and slaughtering people is meritocratic, right? We killed a bunch of people. This is a meritocracy. Huh? Okay, let's get back into it.
Reason for American forces to be committed. And they then, under huge blowback, tried to pretend he hadn't said it. But we all heard what came out of his mouth. And then we heard Antony Blinken, one of his predecessors, say that Netanyahu had tried to persuade both Obama and Biden to do the same thing by saying, I'm about to attack Iran. And when they said no, he then didn't attack Iran. And so, you know, many people share your misgivings about this. Notwithstanding that, the polling still shows pretty strong support among.
And Ricky says, but look at what the argument for having a high IQ gets you. You're able to destroy the world faster than the person with his fist, right? And they always talk about accountability, right? If some musty, crusty, dusty nigga from New Orleans or Baltimore does a drive-by, guess what? There's mass surveillance on these streets. They find him. He gets held accountable, even though he gets locked up and given a disproportionately longer sentence than his white counterparts. Still, people will say, the black community has an accountability problem. How am I hold this nigga accountable when he's already locked up? You want me to get on a podcast and talk about some nigga that committed a crime and got locked up? He's being held accountable by the justice system. But meanwhile, and they convince you that one nigga that does one drive-by that harms one person, right? He's worse than these people slaughtering hundreds of little schoolgirls, whether it's intentionally or accidentally, right? Like I said, whose culture is this? And they've convinced you that you're violent, right? All y'all like to do is fight. Okay, I fought someone and the dude had a lump and some other dude had a bloody lip. Okay, that was a fight. These dudes are dropping F-1 bombers on people, right? So who is really the more violent, genocidal, sinister person? The real truth is black people wouldn't just destroy the earth. We destroy the universe. I'm about to take this one from DJ Khaled. We the best. Let's get back into it.
The MAGA base for Trump and this attack. So how do you explain that?
No, I do not believe that one bit. I talk to MAGA people all day long, every day, and the everyday average American is absolutely against this war, and they know that the only reason why we are even in Iran right now is because of Israel. We see Benjamin Netanyahu coming to our country more than any other foreign government, any other foreign nation. He's been here almost 8 times. This is embarrassing. We are the United States of America. Why are we allowing a foreign country to occupy our government? And now we see, I was removed from a Religious Liberty Commission because I dared to speak out against Israel. It's no longer a conspiracy, Pierce. What Israel wants, Israel gets. And we're witnessing that. And I'm telling you right now, MAGA is dead. And we will not vote for one more politician who lies to us and says, oh, we're going to drain the swamp and we're going to not get involved in foreign wars. Trump has betrayed our country and he has betrayed MAGA. And people are livid.
Vibe coders, ready to build more? Meet Base 44.
I mean, what is fascinating is to see how split the conservative right is now in America in a way I never imagined possible. You know, I remember you on the Miss California thing. It was a story at the time, and I remember all that going. And I was actually at the time, I
True MAGA supporters, traitors. He's, you know, but what you realize is that the most free people are Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens. all fired from the mainstream media, all fired from either the president or mainstream media. And now we're seeing that they're the most free. They're not owned by big corporations, big politicians, big donors. And so we're free and we're speaking out. And it's important that everybody wakes up and realizes that this country is not a free country any longer. It's very, very sad.
And what is fascinating is watching people like Ben Shapiro, even coming after people like me, who I've always got on pretty well with him. He's come on my show a lot. I've been on his a lot. And it only began, his attacks on me, as a consequence of me becoming more critical of the Israeli government, not of Israel as a country, not of Israeli people, not of Jewish people, but actually direct criticism specifically laid out against some of the actions of the Israeli government, which I believe is being overrun by extremely hardline, far-right characters like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, who have a very unhealthy influence over Netanyahu because he owes the fact that he's back in charge to them. And I think this has been a very, very unfortunate chain of events, which has now led to where we are. But this idea, and you've talked about this quite a lot, including with Tucker, I think, the other day, which is that any criticism of the Israeli government is now framed by people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and others as anti-Semitism, that therefore it means you must hate Jewish people. And I find that just A, ridiculous, and B, actually really offensive, and C, it totally devalues the word anti-Semitism and what it actually means and those who perpetrate it.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Pierce. And you're witnessing it firsthand. You're being called now an anti-Semite. And you know what? I think that it's getting a little old. You know, I witnessed this back in 2009 when I stood up for traditional marriage. I was called a homophobe. I was called a bigot, a hateful person, simply because I'm just upholding my Christian values. And so I think the name calling isn't going to work. But you're exactly right. This is what they do. And I call them Zionist thugs because this is exactly who they are and what they are. These are thugs that try to put you in this box and they lock you in and they shut you up and they cancel you from society and they shun you. They humiliate you. They backstab you, and then they expect everybody else to do the same. And that's what Zionist thugs do. And this has nothing to do with Jew hatred. I am speaking out because I witnessed a genocide in Gaza. I could not deny my eyes. I am a Christian. I am a mother. And I was witnessing a starvation and a genocide, a real Holocaust before our very eyes. And they wanted me to deny that. And I refused to. And they want to call me an anti-Semite simply because I'm a Christian. And that's where this is going, Pierce.
And one thing, this is what I call the Gaza grift. First of all, I believe that the Palestinian people have the right to exist, right? The Israeli people infringed and imposed on their homeland. They are not the true indigenous people of the land, right? But what is quite telling and rather pathetic to me is that many of these people who have a known history for bigotry, anti-Black racism, or anti-Black indifference, suddenly when it comes to a foreign conflict, they see the humanity in other people, right? And this is what I talk about, the Gaza grift, whether it's this chick, the blonde bombshell, whether it's Candace Kundis Owens, there was Glenn, the Sambo Lowry, a bunch of people where they don't care about injustices here. They didn't care about Jim Crow. They didn't care about the things that currently are going on, because people bring up Jim Crow as a thing of the past, but many of those practices were still alive today. They just framed them as something different, right? So it's still going on. It's just evolved and became more covert than overt. People like them, when it's happening in your country and you talk about the injustices here, the ethnocide here, gentrification is just a polite version or a polite sanitized term for ethnic cleansing, because it targets a specific racial and ethnic group to ensure that they are displaced and disenfranchised in favor of corporations or another racial demographic. That's been happening since the inception of this country. people like her and Kundz is just like, just get over it, don't care. But when it comes to foreign conflicts, and only particular foreign conflicts, they turn into bleeding hearts and talk about the Christianity and humanity of it all. They say that what's going on in Sudan, which there's a genocide going on right now, a civil war. They said that the humanitarian crisis is the worst in the world. The numbers are staggering, even surpassing what's going on in Gaza. But no one cares. It's not a sexy topic to talk about. You won't get a lot of mileage out of that. What's going on in Congo, and people try to say, you know, there shouldn't be a hierarchy of oppression, but at every turn, they try to create a hierarchy of oppression. When I say, hey, look, man, I'm B1, injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, but I need to focus on home first. I'm America first. Let me help my community first, and then I'll have enough resources and energy later to help the Palestinian Gazan people. But then they start calling you Islamophobic, xenophobic. You should drop everything that you're doing for the Black community and go crash out for another community. So then you're crashing out for ICE out, free, free, free Palestine. You crash out for ICE, you crash out for Palestine. Then we're supposed to crash out for Cuba, then also crash out for Venezuela, and then crash out for immigrants, then crash out specifically for Black immigrants. So after all of these crash outs, then what are we left with? Then they'll come up with something else. No, you can't choose a side. Now you got to crash out for Jews. So we're crashing out for everybody else, but who's crashing out for us? Nobody. All they're doing is using our pain and plight to advance their agenda. Unfortunately, we don't have any allies. I'm not talking about the random individuals. You know, I'm talking about the collective, even the individuals. If you got a white homie, a Latino, Asian homie, and you be like, nah, man, I got a few homies that's cool. But when those few homies go home and they talk about reparations and the anti-Black hate crime bill and any sort of specific restorative justice, tangible policy for foundational Black Americans, all of those people's families are against it. They're against it for us, but they're for it for their families. They turn around and say, you niggers shouldn't get anything. And then stop Asian, hey. And they need hundreds of millions of dollars to help them. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this video and then I'm going to switch it up.
Soon Christianity will be anti-Semitic, and that is dangerous. And I reject that.
Is it? I mean, just to play devil's advocate with you here, we're both Catholics. And I think I'm right in saying that you do not support the concept of Zionism. You don't agree with it. You think it's wrong. And you do that based on your Catholicism. Now, I'm a Catholic and I don't share that view because it really depends what interpretation you want to put on the word Zionism and being a Zionist and what it means. If you talk to a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Israelis, they'll say it means you believe in the concept of an Israeli state. And the disagreement comes when you get perhaps more radical Zionists whose interpretation of what the state of Israel should be geographically is massively bigger.
FBAs will be better at journalism because we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to ask the questions that need to be answered. We're not talking about the buck dancers like Roland Martin. And Roland Martin is a good journalist when he wants to be. However, he is a Democrat shill. So all of his journalistic practices, which is malpractice because he's always selling out the Black community in favor of the Democratic establishment. That's who butters his bread, but he's willing to sell out his community to get his buttered bread by the Democratic establishment. Zionism equals supremacy. Yeah, but what type of supremacy, right? And this is why people try to say, you know, some people say, oh, don't say the term white supremacy, say Jewish supremacy. Well, there's no race called Jewish, and there is Jewish supremacy, but I try to make these people draw a line in the sand. Instead, they try to have it both ways. When people look at Jake Tapper, no one thinks Jake Tapper is anything other than a white dude. You look at Bernie Sanders, no one thinks he's anything other than a white dude. But guess what people say? Bernie Sanders, he's Jewish. Bernie Sanders is an old Jewish white dude. There's nothing wrong with that. So when you say Zionism equals supremacy, yeah, but what type of supremacy? Jewish supremacy, yeah, but what type of Jewish supremacy? And I know people want to omit the word white from there, but the white is a critical element of the Jewish supremacy because many of them are playing both sides and allowed to play both sides, right? They try to say about race being a social construct, but so is ethnicity and so is religion. So that should end that right there. So since you've already shown that you adhere to certain social constructs, I'm adhering to the race social construct. And racially, most of those Zionists are white. So if we're talking about Zionist supremacy and most of them are white, it's just another form of white supremacy. Now you can say it collectively as white Jewish Zionist supremacy. Yeah, you can say that all together. It's still white supremacy and white dominance nonetheless, which is why people come over here and they just change their name. Is Jon Stewart's name really Jon Stewart? Why did he change his name, right? If you're a proud Zionist and a proud Jew, why would you change your name? And then the same people who had to change their name because they were fearful of discrimination, then they turn around and say, ain't no white supremacy. Well, then keep your name. Why did Stan Lee change his name, right? You think that people only love Marvel because he changed his name to Stan Lee, all right? So then many of these Jewish people, we were oppressed. How were you oppressed when many of you changed your name and blended in with the white society? Yeah, I changed my name, but I still was oppressed as a Jew, but no one even knew you were a Jew, which is why a lot of people got to wear these small hats to identify them being a Jew. If Ben Shapiro didn't walk around all day with a small hat, would you know that he's Jewish? Ben Shapiro stuttering when asked, is he white? Well, it depends on who you ask, bro. I'm asking you, are you white? Well, sometimes I'm grouped with white and sometimes I'm not. Are you white or not? How many times do I got to say this? How many times do I have to pull it up? 92% of American Jews identify as racially white. There's no gun to their head forcing them to check that box. They chose voluntarily to say, I identify as racially white because many of them are. They're descending from prominent European nations. Many of them are Lily W. So to pretend as if they're not white just because they practice Judaism is quite pathetic. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and transition right now. Bam. And we back at it.
Resignation like this is going to get headlines. It's a big deal that a senior Trump administration official is quitting explicitly in opposition to the war. On the other hand, the content of the letter is what gave a lot of people pause. I'm curious what you made of it.
No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, obviously, you should be concerned when the director of the National Counterterrorism Center quits over a war that you're in the middle of from the largest state-sponsored terrorism in the world. At the same time, you know, the things he said, the idea that we had that Israel stoked this war, that we had gotten into this war because Israel pushed us into it. I mean, Donald Trump is not the kind of guy to get pushed into a war. He may be a lot of things. That is not what he is.
You know, this is a very complicated thing. This guy has said some anti-Semitic things. At the very same time, which is problematic, like no full stop. At the very same time, soon after the war started, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said that the imminent threat was that we knew that Iran.
Marco Rubio said that we were starting this war because of Israel. Then they tried to step back and clean it up. And we literally are starting this war because of Israel. They're trying to frame it as if, oh, Iran, they might target California, like all of this propaganda so that you get people desensitized to war and kind of champion and cheering war on. We're not under threat from Iran. And guess who is? Israel. The only way Israel is under threat because Israel keeps meddling in all of these other parts of the Middle East trying to destabilize them. So they're the big bad bully over there for the Greater Israel Project. They'll say that these other countries can't have nukes. They're sovereign nations. Unless they have nukes, then we're going to bomb them, right? Because we can't have them. They're the leaders of state-sponsored terrorism. Right now, Israel is the one presiding over a genocide while calling someone else a terrorist state.
Was that if Iran was attacked, and we believe that it would be attacked by Israel, that they would immediately come after us. And that was the immediate threat that they used as a rationale for the war. So both things are operating at the same time. This guy is very problematic because he has anti-Semitic sentiments. At the very same time, the administration, that was their first rationale for the war, was that they thought that Israel was going to strike first, that Iran would strike back, and they would strike us when they struck back, and that would precipitate a wider conflict, and we would have consequences from that.
But there's one point that I think is important in that Marco Rubio was part of all of the intelligence briefings on this, and Joe Kent was not. So Marco Rubio had access to everything that Joe Kent did not have access to. What was also left out of that letter was Joe Kent's plans now, I suppose, to be part of this resistance, go on podcasts that have been very critical of Israel. This is someone who, over the course of the next few days, you'll see more reporting on how he was seen as a chief leaker in this White House. And that goes to some of the problems I have with some folks who are now amplifying Joe Kent as if they agree with him or as if they suddenly believe that he is someone to be trusted on
Donald Trump amplified Joe Kent because he put him in charge of the National Counterterrorism Center. And in addition to that,
if he was a leaker and if he was bad on national security, why leave somebody in a sensitive, important job like that if you thought that he was disloyal, leaking, and he was bad on the substance of the thing that he was in charge of?
Serious dictation was driving me crazy, so I switched to whisper flow. Here's why I'll never go back.
We're assuming that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence is an important job. I mean, it's kind of a...
And this one I'm not going to play too long. It's like 18 minutes. I want to just get to a certain point and then I'll react to that. And then I'm going to just transition and then I'll get ready to shut her down.
Bureaucratic, nowheresville. Yeah, I'm torn on Joe Kent because on the one hand, he did primary and defeat a colleague and friend of mine, Jamie Herrera Butler, in 2022. On the other hand, he has a decorated career as a Green Beret, as a CIA paramilitary officer. He lost his wife, Shannon, in 2019 in Syria. He's a Gold Star husband. And, I give him the benefit of the doubt on the reasons for his resignation in this case. I think the question of whether or not a resignation, should have been public is one thing. I think it is right and appropriate if you do not feel you can, faithfully execute and support the policies of administration you're working for, you should resign. That is the appropriate thing to do in the natural course. I have more questions about the statement that Tulsi Gabbard put out, because on the one hand, it was a masterclass in saying something without saying anything at all. On the other hand, you're going before Congress tomorrow.
She has not been seen or heard of in months.
So Ricky says, look at all the social media. That's exactly what they've done. They made war some kind of joke or game. I've been noticing this for over 35 years of my life. And even Trump was caught putting some footage of a video game. It was Call of Duty. And yeah, they're making war all exciting and stuff. No, now this is not exciting, but it is real. Won't you show all of those veterans that got to get those limbs amputated? Won't you show some of those veteran men who are paralyzed from the waist down and could never enjoy penetrating their wife again? Why won't they show that? Oh, because it will discourage people. So they want you desensitized to people getting their head blown off and buildings being blown up. You need to be desensitized so that you can send little Jamal and little Jaquavius to join the military. But Trump, Mr. Make America Great Again, Trump has sons. Trump has military age sons and children. Do you think his children are going to go fight for this war? They framing this war as you will be a patriot if you go fight in this war. Cool, right? Who's more patriotic than Trump's family? Send Barron Trump and the other Trumpsters over there, right? But no one from the Trump family is going to go fight in any of these wars. It's going to be people that look like me to go fight in those wars. And then they'll dangle some resources like, look, man, you a nigga, man. You're at the bottom rung of society. However, we can give you some marginal benefits if you go over to the Middle East and go fight a war for Israel, right? And if you make it back, you know what I mean, then, you know, you'll get a house with a you know, interest-free loan or $0 down payment, right? Many of these perks they can offer in a different way, right? Or you can just create other sectors of society that people could work in to thrive and flourish and sustain living with a nuclear family without having to go to some pointless war. This dude says that he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal, right? Instead of negotiating, he just keeps committing war crimes and meddling in more countries, right? Where's the deal? The Iranians were negotiating. They were in the middle of negotiations when they got bombed. So they want to frame this as, oh, the big bad Iran. They want to come after the U.S., but they're not even trying to fight the U.S. Well, they want to come after our ally. Well, let the ally fight their own battles, right? Israel is saying they're the only democracy in the Middle East. And that's the last thing I'm going to end on, how democracy is and can be tyrannical, right? But yeah, let the only democracy in the Middle East hold your own nuts.
Probably for this exact reason, because we're at war with Iran. And she has explicitly said she did not believe that we should be at war with Iran.
And has been on record saying it for years. So let's not act as though this is a new thing with this administration. She has been on record for quite some time through multiple administrations, voicing her opinion against going to war with Iran for the exact same reasons that many of the individuals who the Trump administration fired regarding Iranian intelligence, those individuals were against it as well. I think that with Kent, it's important to recognize, and it's a good point that I believe Charles made earlier, this is a guy who's looking at his career path after this. He's also somebody who understands the MAGA fissures. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who aligned around Trump in 2016 and 2020 and in 2024 who did it almost solely because this man talked about no more endless wars. These are individuals who watched what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. These are individuals who trusted that he was going to put America first, meaning we're not going and creating wars and chaos in other places, and recognize fully that their young men and women in the armed forces may be up next. As we can recall, just a week ago, his press secretary did not leave it off the table that the possibility of a draft could happen, which wild, by the way. This is a president who has not stood by the very thing that he ran on, and many people are seeing.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Many people are facing disabilities. Many people are emotionally fragile. Many people are just physically not able to cut the mustard, right? Which is why the U.S. is relying on more autonomous warfare, drones, robotics, aircraft, bombing people, nuclear weapons. They know that we don't have the manpower. And in many cases, we don't need it because this is not like the Roman days or 300. This is not the 300 going against the Persian army. And if it was, we would be that Persian army. You know what I mean? But the whole thing of just the whole warmongering, right? Who does this really serve? This doesn't help the country. And it's time for the high IQs to just call this stuff out. Stop trying to frame this as helping our greatest ally. This is nothing but a land and a power grab. And if you want to do that, one thing Trump does have in his favor that he kind of tells it like it is. He lies a lot, but when he does say that he's going to do something and then he does it and he follows through, at least you're not surprised by it, flabbergasted by it. So when he says, hey, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, so he wants to do deportation, you're not really surprised, even if you don't approve of it. You're not surprised by what he's doing and how he's conducting ICE. but there's really no mass deportations going on. There's controversial, skeptical deportations going on. But in terms of the mass deportations, Biden and Obama and maybe even Clinton probably had higher numbers than Trump in terms of the deportations. So there's a lot of controversial, theatrical deportations going on, but there's not mass deportations. He didn't end the wars. He didn't lower costs. So what promises is he keeping? He ended DEI. Okay, fine. He ended DEI, but that mainly benefited white people. So what did he do again to make the country great again?
This is problematic, but are also questioning the allegiance with Israel because it does seem that there's some puppeteering going on backstage. And that's not anti-Semitic. That is just a question that they have because they also recognize
usually when
that-
you bring up
This
Israel,
is-
and I
but
don't
hold
think
on,
your
but-
intention was
but-
that,
but-
but usually when people
let
talk
me-
about puppeteering and Jews, there
Well,
it's
they're talking
clear
about
on anti-Semitic.
Joe Kent's theory of the case is clear in his resignation letter.
Here we go again. Usually when you bring up puppeteering and Jews, it's anti-Semitic. Like, come on, bruh. Again, I'm gonna have to rewind that. But like she said, Donald Trump is a buck broken, bigoted buffoon. Yes, he is being led astray and puppeteered by Bibi Netanyahu and many of the other genocidal Zionist maniacs. This is true. Yes, this has become what some would think is the United States of Israel. Saying that somehow that's anti-Semitic, that's a trope that Jews run the world. It's like, come on, bro. The people who came up with that, what did Jews do about the people? See, we saw what some Zionist Jews did to Kanye West. Chase Bank said, we don't even want your money in the bank. There was a Jewish Voltron that formed to take down Kanye West. But when there was a bunch of white dudes in the street saying, Jews will not replace us, Jews will not replace us, there was a bunch of white, bigoted, neo-Nazi Confederate kook jobs doing that. But guess who they were blaming? The black community and Kyrie Irving for sharing a video called From Hebrew to Negroes. So now whenever you point out a fact about the Israeli government, because she said Israel was puppeteering them, she didn't say Jews. And then he said, well, usually when people know, he's like, oh, I know you didn't intend it. Well, if you know she didn't intend it, why are you even trying to bring up this anti-Semitic trope? This is quite pathetic.
And many people are seeing this as problematic, but are also questioning the allegiance with Israel because it does seem that there's some puppeteering going on backstage. And that's not anti-Semitic. That is just a question that they have because they also recognize
Usually when
that-
you bring up
this
Israel,
is-
and I
but
don't
hold
think
on,
your intention was that, but usually when people
but
talk
let me-
about puppeteering and Jews,
Well, they're
it's
talking
clear
about
on anti-Semitic.
Joe Kent's theory of the case is clear in his
What is anti-Semitic about it? They never explain what is anti-Semitic about it. They just call you anti-Semitic and shut down. But where are all the other people? Because see, anti-Semitism is just a form of racism. It's just targeted racism towards Jews, right? Even though Jewish people is not a race. So realistically, it's a targeted bias and bigotry towards Jewish people. No different than racism. Racism is a targeted bigotry, targeted prejudice, and discriminatory practices. So they want you to see that anti-Semitism is the scourge of the earth. It's the worst thing ever. But when you talk about anti-black racism, oh, just get over it. We all experience racism. Okay, fine. I'll get over it. I'll get over being called nigger. No one is going around calling Jewish people ites with a K. People are terrified. Always say, if you put a gun to someone's head and say, hey, say a Jewish slur right now or I'm going to pull the trigger. Many people will say pull the trigger because if I'm caught saying a Jewish slur, I'm dead already. So in that hypothetical situation, they would say, hey, pull the trigger and blow me to smithereens because I'm not saying a Jewish slur. Now, if you put a gun to their head, it don't matter what race they are, say a slur or I'm blow your head off. Nigger, 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 nigger. Right? That they have no problem saying that, but tell them to say a Jewish slur, they're gonna be like, I refuse. Somebody might jump off a cliff like, hell no, I ain't saying that. So this whole anti-Semitic, how people are literally shaking in their boots, petrified to say anything about Jewish people. I mean, this is probably why my channel was shadow banned, because I keep saying Jewish people, Jew in Israel. So I need to have some code words. I do say J people. Maybe I need to be more cunning with that. And then I need to say another place. I'll just call Israel the chosen land in the Middle East. Right. So I gotta prepare y'all. So once I switch my language up, you know what I mean? So when I'm talking about the chosen land in the Middle East, y'all know, because my channel was shadow banned, I'm sure you can guess why. Right. I won't go like the MAGA maniacs and say it's the Jew. I won't hit y'all with that, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I guess I just gotta, take it on the chin. This is the cost of content. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down, and I'm going to transition, and then I will get ready to shut her down. And depending on how y'all respond to this video, I may come back later and hit y'all with a double header. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Why democracy is and can be tyranny. So just give me uno momento, right? And we're going to go through this. The idea usually comes from the fear of a majority rule turning into majority domination. If 51% of people can force 49% to obey, is that really freedom? So this argument shows up in political philosophy, especially in the works of thinkers like Alexis de Tocqueville and John Stuart Mill. So this is a story that will illustrate the idea of democracy being tyrannical. The village of Brightwater. Brightwater was a peaceful village where everyone voted on everything, from taxes to what color the school should be painted. One year, a new majority formed the Blue Banner Group. They loved the color blue and believed it symbolized unity. They voted to paint every public building blue. Then they voted to require blue banners on every house. Then they voted to fine anyone who didn't display one. No one was beaten or jailed. No dictator rose to power, but people who didn't like blue felt suffocated. They were technically free, but socially trapped. The villagers eventually realized a crowd can be just as controlling as a king. No, kings protest. Well, a crowd of democratic demons can be just as controlling as a king. Now, this is the emotional core of democracy is tyranny. That was just like a little anecdote parable so that you can get the gist of the psychology. So here are several psychological patterns that help explain why some people feel this way. And y'all let me know how y'all feel about the sentiments of democracy can be tyrannical, right? I'm prefacing it because some people just say with the affirmative that democracy is tyranny. I say it can be tyrannical. So humans hate feeling controlled. Even mild pressure, like a majority opinion, can trigger a defensive response. people think if everyone else is telling me what to do, I must resist. Fear of conformity. Humans are social creatures, but we also fear losing individuality. Majority rule can feel like a threat to personal identity. Minority stress. If someone belongs to a minority group, political, cultural, religious, they may feel constantly outvoted. This creates a sense of the system isn't built for people like me. And this is the whole thing, how you can use democracy in a tyrannical way, right? If so mind you, they didn't want to end slavery, right? So if the majority of people didn't want to end slavery and they say, hey, look, we voted on it and democratically people didn't want to end slavery. So we got to keep enslaving these niggas. That's democracy, right? Is that democracy or is that tyranny? You can get a bunch of elites together and say, hey, we're going to vote. And they can vote to strip women of all of their rights, which we already know through history what women had to do for their rights, right? So we can say, hey, we want to strip all of these women of the rights, right? And the majority of the power brokers voted on this. That's democratic, right? Is that democracy or is that tyranny, right? Imagine if the dude with the funny mustache, the dude with the funny mustache in Germany, imagine if he held a vote and the Nazis said, hey, we agree with putting these people in ovens. We agree with all of the slaughter and the H cost and the G side. We agree with all of that stuff. See, this is democratic. The dude with the funny mustache was democratically elected. So at what point do we have to call out that democracy can be wielded as a weapon and used in a tyrannical fashion? And we've also been joined by an illustrious guest. I'm loving the new profile pic. And also congratulations to you. I think that you got to like 900 subs or almost 1,000 subs. My boo, what it do in building. Salute to you. Let's get back into it. Cognitive bias towards personal freedom. People tend to overestimate the importance of their own preferences and underestimate the needs of the group. So when the group decides something else, it feels unfair. Projection. Sometimes people project their own fear of losing control onto the system itself. They see tyranny everywhere because they fear being powerless. And this is where the whole great replacement comes in. Now, there isn't a great replacement theory, but there is a great replacement strategy. And the great replacement strategy is against foundational Black Americans to completely erase, displace, and replace us. However, the MAGA morons, they're not trying to replace you. If anything, they're trying to replenish the white numbers because, unfortunately, due to the incompetence of the alleged so-called high IQ community, right? Many of them have run the country into the ground, while people like Elon Musk is saying, we need more white babies. Well, how are you going to have white babies when people are not gainfully employed to the tune that they'll be able to afford having a nuclear family with multiple kids, right? So people are just abstaining and saying, you know what, YOLO, you only live once. So others are saying that, hey, look, many of the births in this country are majority Hispanic. So what if this country turns into a bunch of shit-skinned people, is what they would say. But no, they've been selective in which Hispanics they let over here. There's no race called Latino. There's no race called Hispanic. So many of the Hispanics that they let in believe in the sentiments of blancamiento, mejoró la raza, which means lighten, brighten, and whiten the race. So while some of them will check the box of Hispanic, many of them will just be white Latinos who check the white box, i.e. the white Cubanos. So they're okay with they just want to kind of fear monger to the other people. We're losing our country. No, actually, you're not. is a revamping of the country, right? So let me just get into the psychological basis of this. Humans naturally form groups and enforce norms. Majorities often assume their preference or common sense, which makes dissent feel illegitimate. So once they try to tell you this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, and then they just keep saying it over and over, and then you say, actually, it wasn't built by immigrants. But then if people keep saying this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, and everyone else is saying that, then you're like, well, I guess we're all immigrants. Like, no, you're an immigrant. I'm not. And there's nothing wrong with being an immigrant, but don't try to project your status and your lineage onto me just because you're kind of confused. Democracy encourages conformity, even what they're encouraging conformity of this war right now. We're bombing Iran, so all conform because this is America first. And they said death to America, so you should conform. Okay, but we said this is the land of freedom of speech, right? If we're supposed to get over being called nigger and being lynched after, then you can get over death to America. I don't want to hear any country chanting death to America, but they have the freedom of speech, right? They're saying death to America and didn't do anything. And then Israel didn't say death to America, but then I've already shown you the history of the USS Liberty. Did they say death to America before they did that? So did it really matter? Israel didn't say death to America, but we're still sending them hundreds of billions. So even though they didn't say death to America, how was us sending them hundreds of billions helping us? So they want you to fixate on this slogan. Okay, fine. They said death to America. So then what? That justifies bombing a schoolgirl? Nobody would say, hey, man, they said death to America. You think it's cool if we go kill 100 schoolgirls? Nobody would say, hell yeah, man. That will show them to say death to America and shit. Like, nobody would say that. So why are we pretending that someone saying death to America means that it's a death sentence? Well, hey, these are not my sayings. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never what? Why are the words triggering you? I thought y'all said that was snowflake stuff. I thought y'all said that was low impulse control. So people fear being socially isolated, so they adopt majority views when they disagree internally. So, and this is what unfortunately many in the Black community do, and this will be one of my other streams as well. Legal, but especially illegal immigration hurts the Black community the worst. But we're supposed to just take it on the chin. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. Okay, fine. This is a nation of immigrants. Bring those immigrants to your neighborhood. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm a NIMBY. We don't want them over here, but you have enough resources. You said they're work so hard. They work so much harder than the niggas. You don't have immigrant fatigue. You said you have Black fatigue. So send the immigrants over there. You said you love their food. Cool. Let them set up businesses over there. It's just no, 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 no. But then we're just supposed to say yes to everything. Here, let the Chinese people set up a business in your neighborhood. Okay, cool. Could we set up a Black neighborhood in Chinatown? Shut up, nigger. It's like, huh? Let the Latinos and the ethnic minorities set up a shop in a Black community. And then many of them are selling tacos, elote, all sorts of fruit, right? No seller's permit, right? No health inspection passed. But the Black dude who was selling barbecue on the corner, they ran him up out of there, right? Don't blame the immigrants. I'm blaming the anti-Blackness that permeates in the society. However, I will blame immigrants who many of them come over here with anti-Black views. But I'm saying this to say is that we're supposed to be accepting of just being replaced and displaced because of reasons, because the country is comfortable with that. And the country is comfortable with that because it's not happening to them, right? They're not bringing a bunch of Latinos and dropping them in Chinatown. They're looking in like, hey, where are the predominant areas of Black people? They drop them over there. The area gets displaced and becomes no longer predominantly Black. And then you're just supposed to be okay with that. And then they just preach the immigrant exceptionalism to you so that you just accept it. And I'll say, fine, the immigrants are so great. Why aren't you clamoring to have them in your neighborhood? And then they just have, and no one is saying, hey, we hate immigrants. We have been the ones that been the most accepted. Unfortunately, many immigrants come over here and they're humble once they come in low numbers. And as soon as they numbers get up, then it's just, you niggers are lazy, and it turns into that, unfortunately. Then if you say, okay, you said I'm lazy and you called me a nigger, and then you slap one, and then it turns into xenophobia, and some of them are non-citizens. So if you beat up an immigrant, they can get an expedited citizenship. They have something called I think it's called like a U visa or something like that. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. It will put them in a special circumstance where they fear for their life, and okay, cool, we'll just fast track citizenship. So these are many of the plot and ploys that they're being told by the political establishment, namely the Democrats, because both parties support our replacement and displacement. Even though we're Americans, they care more about non-citizens, but these are the cards we've been dealt. The majority's value becomes the default, making alternatives seem deviant. So what they're trying to convince you is that open borders are the default and an influx of immigrants are the default. Yeah, we need immigrants, but we don't need millions and millions like every year pouring in. You know what I mean? And if we do get that, then you know that there is something more sinister going on. And if that's the case, it's just stop peeing on people's leg and try to tell them that it's raining. It's already bad enough that you're pissing on someone's leg. You're insulting their intelligence by telling them that it's raining. And then when someone says, no, that's piss, you shut your mouth. That's rain. It's like, bruh, it's 100 degrees out in the middle of summer. There's no rain. So the psychological roots of this thinking, social conformity bias, fears of ostracism, and groupthink. Democracy can unintentionally create a culture where dissent is punished informally. So like I said, if you say, and I'm just using the immigration as an example, right? Because this is something they want you to desensitize you to. And all of these people, who's gonna pick the fruit? The majority of immigrants aren't picking fruit. So I don't know why you guys keep, y'all got to come up with something new. They're doing the jobs that no one wants to do. I know a lot of people that are doing those jobs. No one wants to do construction. No one wants to fold bed sheets in a hotel. No one wants to do landscaping. No one wants to cut trees. No one wants to do plumbing. I mean, come on now. No one wants to farm. I mean, who are we kidding here? No one wants to be paid indentured servant wages, and neither do the immigrants. When the immigrants come over here, they say they're coming to seek a better life. They don't say that they're coming to pick fruit for a better life. Many of them seeking a better life doesn't entail any fruit at all, unless they putting it in a fruit cocktail or making a smoothie. If voters are emotional, uninformed, or manipulated by media, then majority rule becomes mob rule. Why critics call this tyrannical? Emotional crowds can make impulsive decisions. Demagogues can exploit fear or anger. People often vote for identity, not policy. How many times have y'all heard me say this? All politics, capital A, capital L, capital L. All politics are identity politics. They frame, when you talk about black issues, that's identity politics. But then Trump will go and pander to the evangelicals, saying your evangelical is based on your identity. That's identity politics. Talking about Jewish this, Jewish that, identity politics. Trans issues this, trans issues that, identity politics. Saying America first is identity politics. So all politics are identity politics. It's just all a matter of framing and how you view it. So people have no issues with identity politics. It's just when it's an identity that they don't align with or they object to, then suddenly it becomes an issue. All the people that say they're against identity politics, why do you have to make it about race? And then they'll turn around and say, we need more white babies. Why didn't you just say we need more babies? Why did you emphasize on white? Tucker Carlson said white supremacy is a hoax. And then he turned around and said, no, systemic racism is real, but only against white people. More identity politics. JD Vance, white men are being discriminated against. So he doesn't even mention the black people being discriminated against, but he pivots towards white people being discriminated against. Identity politics. When people are talking about, hey, you go, sister girl, I'm a vote for a woman because of the woman's right to choose. Identity politics. I can keep this up all night, but I just want y'all to just kill this identity politics talk, because all politics revolves around some level of identity. And it shouldn't take a high school dropout for people to figure this out. Where are the high IQs breaking this stuff down for you? Instead, they're the ones calling stuff identity politics while at the same time engaging in identity politics, which Cenk Uygur likes to do. Chunky Yogurt, where he'll say the Democrats do identity politics too much, and then he'll start talking about how he's an immigrant and a Muslim. Talking about your immigrant status is identity politics. Your identity as an immigrant, right? Your identity as a Muslim is identity politics. He doesn't see it like that. But talking about blacks, anything pertaining to black people, that's woke. Okay. So the psychological roots, availability bias, we overreact to vivid stories. Tribalism, we vote for our group, vote blue no matter who. Authority bias, we follow charismatic leaders, i.e. Trump. Trump is a stooge, a bigot, a buffoon, a clown, and a coward. However, he is charismatic. The fear is that democracy becomes a stage for emotional manipulation rather than rational governance. And what do the Democrats? Both parties do that, right? The Republicans, George Floyd, BLM, open borders, build the wall, great replacement, right? Emotional manipulation. Trans bathrooms, you don't want your pretty little girl. You don't want Becky going into the locker room and seeing a cock, do you? Right? And then the Democrats this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. So look how they're treating immigrants. And in order to save democracy, we have to save immigrants. So this is the emotional manipulation from both parties, because they're both the establishment. Two cheeks on the same booty, two fangs on the same viper. Democracy forces everyone into the same system. This argument is about autonomy. Even if the rules are fair, being forced to live under rules you didn't choose can feel like domination. And this is why people say, hey, man, we the 92% who voted for, a different level of authoritarianism, right? But they're saying, hey, we didn't vote for this, so we're going to be unburdened by what y'all voted for. Why this feels tyrannical, though, is because you can't opt out, right? Even if you didn't vote for the orange man, you're still subject to his rulings and his political incompetence. You're bound by decisions you didn't support. Your life is shaped by strangers' preferences. In this case, it's shaped by Zionists and genocidal maniacs' preference. Humans resist being controlled. So this is the reactance part. The need for autonomy. People want self-determination. Even a well-run democracy can feel coercive to someone who values individual freedom above collective decision-making. Democracy can become a popularity contest. Leaders are chosen for the ability to persuade, not their ability to govern. Skills skilled manipulators rise to powers. Complex issues get reduced to slogans. Make America great again. Build the wall. Lock her up. Yes, we can. Defund the police. Right? Free Palestine. From the river to the sea. Globalize the infantata. Global issues, complex issues get reduced to slogans, or what I like to call buzzwords and bumper stickers. Voters reward confidence, not expertise. So because Trump lies confidently, voters rewarded him for that. And since Kamala Harris, who I believe is smarter than Trump, but she is an airhead and she is a bit of a bird brain, people are saying, we're not so confident in her. She doesn't speak confidently enough. She doesn't speak astutely enough. So they don't believe in her expertise. So they go with the orange man who exudes confidence, but he also exudes incompetence. So there's something called the halo effect. Attractive or charismatic people seem to be more trustworthy, but everything ain't always what it seems. There's a simplification bias. People prefer simple answers to complex problems. So when you ask somebody, what are you going to do at the to stop the border crisis, and someone gives an extended, elongated, rambling answer, which I would say that they were babbling incoherently. When someone babbles incoherently for an elongated time, and someone just comes in and says, build the wall, right? The person who had that elongated response may have had the right plan, but just didn't articulate it in a confident, cogent, and coherent manner. But someone who just comes and says, build the wall, deport all illegals, they're like, well, I'm gonna just go with that. You know what I mean? I don't need a detailed breakdown. I want the illegals out, so deport them. So what I'm saying is that's how people are able, even Obama, he said, yes, we can. That's all he was running on. Hope and change. Yes, we can. And then as soon as he got in the office, he kept saying, no, we can't. So Obama is a Kenyan, an African, but when he got in office, he became an Africant because all he was saying is what he can't do. I ain't the president of Black America. I'm the president of all America. But then he started doing things for gay people. Then he started doing things for immigrants, non-citizens. Then he started doing things for Jewish people. Then when he got to Black people, he said, pull your pants up, Pookie. Okay. Democracy can drift towards soft authoritarianism or hard authoritarianism. Pause. But democracy sometimes centralize power slowly through emergencies powers, bureaucratic expansion, surveillance justified by public state safety, i.e. 9/11. Oh, look what the Muslims done. Oh my God. Look, we've been attacked by a pack of Pajeets. Now we have to mass surveil you with the Patriot Act. That's what they want to do. Demonize a group and say, hey, look, they're street shitters. They're shitting in the street. So they hate us because of our freedom. So now we have to mass surveil you, right? So they use all of these things to attack, demonize a group. So you say, yeah, we don't like them. Yeah, those street shitters. And then so once you desensitize people to the humanity of a person, then it's easy for you to just go along with the subjugation. Now, why critics call this tyrannical? No single step feels extreme, but over time, the state grows stronger, individual freedom shrinks, and dissent becomes harder. Sound familiar? There is a security bias. People trade freedom for safety, right? Hey, you don't want Iran to attack you. They might attack California. So you know what? We're going to mass surveil you. We're going to send a bunch of money to Israel, and we're going to bomb a bunch of countries in the Middle East in the name of security, normalization. People accept gradual changes they would reject if sudden. This is the boiling frog version of democratic tyranny. Now, I could go a little bit deeper, But hold on. Let me respond to the chat. She says, thank you. I appreciate it. You almost to 1K. I ain't there soon enough, but just to let y'all know, I don't even know exactly how. I always say like 200 away. Even if I'm not 200 away, I'm gonna keep saying that so that I get 1,000 and some change. But I do have a goal to reach 1,000 subs by the summer. Hopefully I get it sooner. If I don't make it by the summer, I'll still be happy. So a salute to y'all. Like I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not a humongous creator, so I'm not even really making a lot of money. I really don't even make any money. It's just like if people occasionally donate. I've had some people that have been loving and generous, so I appreciate all y'all. But regardless, I mean, I come up here to chop it with y'all for free. But even freedom ain't free. So if you want to hit your boy, feel free to make a contribution. But if you're unable or unwilling, you could hit the like button. It won't cost you a fee. Liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting is all free. And it said, you explain the dark side of direct democracy via citizen ballot measures. The only thing I can say is those who are in the minority must continue at it of convincing the majority they're wrong. Yeah, I would concur. This is the clearest definition of identity politics I've encountered. Yeah, I mean, many people try to talk down on identity politics, but this is what shapes all of our politics. So if I was a Jewish person, I would want someone to be practicing Jewish identity politics. I'm talking about Jewish politics, so why wouldn't the conversation be framed around Jewish identity? And it's the same thing, excuse me. It's the same thing. I'm B1. So if I'm looking to get something done specifically for my lineage, of course I'm going to be in favor of identity politics. If I see a Muslim person being attacked and they say, hey, look, we need to pass this legislation or do something to protect Muslims from being attacked, I'm not going to say, that's identity politics. No, Muslims are being attacked. That is identity politics, but we need to do something to rectify the issue. Focus on the issues more so than the identity, right? Because do I have to keep the tropes going? All identities matter, right? I thought I was hard on these devils. Your blessings is coming. Trust and believe. You got too much intelligence. Thanks, Ricky Williams. I sincerely appreciate that. That was a heartfelt message, and it does mean a lot to me. I really come out here to link with y'all. Now, I can go a different direction with my content because, the things like if I was talking about black on black crime, fight videos, twerking, black women ain't ish, I would have probably 10,000 subs and probably like 500 live viewers right now. But I try to make content that I know that people could connect to, but also at least take something from. You may not like everything I'm saying, but there will be something that I say that will be at least something that you can take and bestow the knowledge to someone else, right? I'm not only here to teach, I'm here to learn as well. You can learn from a baby. So all of the comments that y'all put, I'm trying to soak up game from y'all as well. So I'm here to teach, but I'm also here to be taught as well. So excuse me. I'm gonna just get into like a couple more minutes of this, and then I'm going to shut her down. Depending on how I'm feeling and how the numbers looking on this, I may come back later for a brief double header. That all depends. But yeah, so let me just go through a little bit more of this, and then we will be out of here. So democracy can be captured by special interests. And this is why we got to get money out of politics. Money, lobbying, and media influence distort the will of the people. So it can be, let's just say 100 people, right? Ready to vote as a cohesive unit. And there can be one person that can outspend that 100 people. And guess who that politician will be holding to? To the one person who outspend 100 people. or 1,000 people or 1 million people, because Elon Musk alone gave Trump 100 plus million. Miriam Adelson alone gave Trump 200 plus million, right? So even if you had 200, you had a voter block of 2 million people. Let's just say you had a voter contingent of 2 million people, and one donor comes and gives Trump 200 million people. Do you think Trump is going to listen to the 2 million people who donated a small donor amount, or the one person who donated 200 million? How was that not tyrannical, right? And this is where it gets a bit convoluted, right? Because you would think that, hey, it's more democratic for the 2 million people. You would want to listen to them, right? Because that's what democracy is about, right? But no one thinks that someone would listen to 2 million people who donated the bare minimum versus the one who donated 200 million. Elections become symbolic. This is why critics call this tyrannical. The money, the lobbying, the media influence, distorting the will of the people. Elections become symbolic. Real power lies with the elite. So there's something called the diseases of despair. So people just give up. You know what, man, I always had a dream I was going to get a hot wife, and now I probably will never get one. All these chicks on OnlyFans. So dudes just start burying their head in the sand, eating a bunch of hot Cheetos, donuts, Funyuns, and drinking Coca-Cola, and then just going to life and being miserable, becoming incels, etc. That's an example of a disease of despair. People are so distraught and dejected from society that they're like, I just give up, right? In China, parts of China, they got a saying called like falling down or something like that, where the society just say, you know what, we're just going to give up. We ain't going to work. We ain't going to do nothing. We're just going to let the society collapse. And then hopefully it will be a reset. But this reset is supposed to be initiated by the people just saying, you know what, I'm done. Y'all can work in your own factories. Y'all can do all this other stuff. So I think it's called lying down, actually. So look that up. It's a literal movement in China where they're like, they refuse to work or do anything. No one calls them lazy either. They're just saying, hey, well, you know, they have a vision. So citizens feel powerless despite having the vote. So this is why people try to say, hey, you voted for this. Like, did you really vote for this? You voted for Trump, but did you vote for this? Some would say yes, and others are like, nah, this ain't what I voted for. Yeah, Trump is who I voted for, but this ain't what I voted for. But many of them, I'm like, how didn't y'all see this? I didn't vote for Trump or Biden. Both of them are stooges, bigots, and buffoons. However, I will say that Trump is a slightly less bigot than Biden. You know, because Biden has a history, a documented history of being a bigot legislatively, and Trump, a lot of his stuff, he does have bigoted legislation. It just pales in comparison to Biden. And I don't like either of them. But the psychological roots, the status quo bias, the authority bias, and the learned helplessness. And this is kind of what I talk about, the diseases of despair. People feel helplessness. If you feel helpless, you're not going to try. What's the point of trying? I already know my outcome is preordained. So, you know, if the ship is sinking, like, why am I going to try to repair the ship? It's just like, just let it sink. I just want to live my best life while it sinks. That's kind of like a form of learned helplessness. People feel the system is rigged, which creates the perception of tyranny disguised as freedom. So that's what it is right there. So hopefully y'all found some value. I know for some people it may be considered boring because, you know, I'm not yelling at people and cussing and you know, I'm not calling women bitches and shit like that. So I get it, right? This may not be the place for you. This may not be the content for you, but don't worry. I will hit you with various forms of content, but I do try to give y'all some level of scholarship and sophistication so that you're not just inundated with the debaucherous and the depraved. So I'm going to go through some of the comments and then I will get ready to shut her down. There's only one true God. Intelligent isn't given to everyone, it's earned. Yes, intelligence is earned and it's a badge of honor, right? So how people like, hey, you know, if you're from the hood or something, you know, people want to get stripes for the dirt that they've done, the fights that they've won, the nefarious activities they engaged in, right? You earn your street credit, right? And people are eager and fervent about doing that. Be eager about earning your intelligence. And I'm not talking about earning a degree from an institution. I'm not talking about getting a useless degree in basket weaving or some sort of studies, African-American studies, Mandarin studies, or something like that. I'm saying earning the intelligence, because the intelligence isn't all about the books. Knowledge, or I would say experience, is the best teacher. That's how you gain wisdom, and wisdom manifests into knowledge. But that's what I love about your boy Trump. He had the intellect not to use his money. He played chess with the system and kept a lot of money in his pockets. Well, like we talked about how democracy being tyrannical, part of the leaders being able to galvanize people and have people think that they're voting in a fair and free democratic election is based on his charisma and confidence. So Trump is very charismatic and he's very confident. So if someone confidently says 2 + 2 is 5, that doesn't make it true, but it will make someone believe that it's true. If you posted some trivial bait content to boost eyes on your substantial work, most of us would understand. I wish someone in the new black media would take the Stephen Colbert approach and mock coons. You know, I do have something coming up where I will do an evisceration of many of the raccoon. I did a brief one the other day, you know, about the raccoon problem we have to deal with. And I might call it RAT, raccoons and tethers, because, you know, I got to talk about the homegrown sambos and tap dancing, you know, doofuses, and then of course the tethers. I'm going to have to steal that from you, Mizrael. Yeah, but yeah, so I appreciate y'all. So I'm gonna hit y'all with some visuals. Hopefully y'all stick around to the end, and after that I'm a shut her down. Now, if you haven't taken the time to like the stream yet, what the flip are you doing? Here's a reminder. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. Now, before we get up out of here, you know, I'm gonna hit you. Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude, shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. The definition of adrenaline rush. What he do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Brillo pads. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your fit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Buku for the cocaine to go poo-poo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I
Sandman like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Millwall. When they get me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the drawer is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh we burning up, burning up. This shit so high, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hit me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the drawer is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh we burning up, burning up. This shit so high, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude, yeah they know the name. B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, be easy. We going all the way to the top, believe me. All the way to the top, believe me. Oh, you ain't know? That's just B-Eazy, A-A, B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh. B-Eazy that dude, ayy.
He's styling and profiling, fresher than a mannequin.
Hey yo, who's that? Mama, there go that man again.
He the one who get the block booming and make the trap move. I'm still trying to figure out who is that dude.
Oh, you ain't know?
That's just B-Eazy, ayy, B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy, he is that dude, so you gotta let him cook. He be going dumb off the hook, got all them haters shook. He a king, you a rook, so don't ever start tripping, get it twisted or mistook.
You ain't know.
Hear me, you feel me? Ooh, ooh, ooh. B-Eazy that dude, yeah. B-Eazy. Ay, 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 yo. B-Eazy is that dude, you already know. For sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy that dude.
Oh, B-Eazy. We all here to see B-Eazy. We wanna listen to B-Eazy. Ayy, we all like B-Eazy. Nah, matter of fact, we love B-Eazy. Believe me, he really that dude. Subscribe to the channel. It's easy to do if you care. This fire content extraordinarily rare. That's why I put that on my mama. He is that dude. I put that on my daddy. He is that dude. So B-Eazy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel to be real, to be really that dude.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Follow. Be easy. You know you want to.
We're waiting.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.